What's going on, everybody? It is episode 359 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name's Brett. I got two co-hosts with me again today. Mary is off doing another podcast. She will be back tomorrow. To my left, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Phil Labonte. How you guys doing? I sing for a heavy metal band called All That Remains.
Yes, that was a very, very energetic intro.
You know, I'm here to make things better, I think.
I wouldn't be able to match that. On the average night, I think I could match that energy. During the day, my energy isn't quite there yet. To my right, introduce yourself, sir.
I was going to say, yeah, there's no way I'm going to be that peppy. This is like the morning for me since I work late nights. What's up, everybody? It's Kellen. And Phil, you know, he didn't mention, but one of their biggest hits is Tiptoe Through the Tulips. So, you know, if you guys know that song, definitely go listen to All That Remains. It's one of my favorites.
Definitely.
We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. We're going to tiptoe through a bunch of topics, actually.
Oh, there you go.
We're going to talk about the fact that a bunch of the AARP crowd seem to be the only ones who are willing to call out woke bullshit in Hollywood. It does feel that way to me most of the time. We can get into some names about other younger celebrities who are doing that, but we're going to talk about these people today. It's Paul Stanley. Obviously, that story broke last. Was it like early this week or last week over the weekend?
Yeah, I think it
was recent.
It was recent, but we didn't
like
cover
yesterday,
it.
the day before or something.
We didn't cover it because I'm just like, okay, I get it. Another celebrity has made their comment, and then the conservatives are going to come running and pretend like they've always loved Kiss to tell us how they love them. But then John Cleese has also spoken out about some other issues. And what's funny about it is these aren't really controversial topics, nor should they be. Paul Stanley basically says, like, hey, look, like maybe we should leave kids alone. And John Cleese says, you know, maybe men shouldn't compete in women's sports. And everyone's like, oh my God, shocking words to be said.
So how dare you?
Exactly. We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about Snoop Dogg, who has made some comments known after the writer's strike started in Hollywood. He has made some comments about the streaming rates that artists are getting paid. I imagine Phil will have a lot to say on this topic. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes, I figured. We'll talk about that. Snoop Dogg's got a lot to say on that. We're also going to talk about, look, we're not going to talk about Matt Walsh, and we're not going to talk about the quartering, but I do think the discussion that they're having matters. I don't really care about their interpersonal drama.
Sure.
I want to talk about how the right, or what I consider the cultural right, because right now anything to the right of Stalin is considered right-wing.
It really is. Anything liberal.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is, as much as people aren't really aware of it, like we are moving towards a more traditional understanding of liberal and non-liberal. Like progressive is definitely something closer to an authoritarian than an actual liberal.
I don't want to get too political, but I wouldn't even call it progressivism, because like I tell people, like, I wish I could be a progressive, but everything that progressives are doing, I do the opposite.
They're progressing,
right?
to
I want to have
damnation.
new technology. I want to better the lives of our citizens in this country, but I'm going to stop right there before I go off the rails.
The point is, we're going to talk about whether the right undervalues the importance of art in this culture. We're also going to talk about video game violence and whether you guys believe that video games cause violence, because that was the crux of their disagreement. I know G Prime was getting into this with Matt Walsh as well. Like I said, all of that, like I read through the Twitter threads, and when I read that stuff, it's just mind-numbing to me. It's just people going back and forth. But I think the concepts are worth discussing. So we'll get into that. We're also going to talk about AI Biggie Smalls. Literally, Timbaland is resurrecting him. He's bringing him back from the dead on a song. And I actually think it's a bit presumptuous. Like his language in this interview is it's a tad presumptuous. So we'll get into that. If you guys are ready, we'll just get started.
Let's go.
Good?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so for the start of the show, guys, we got a couple of quick announcements. I do want to point out that the writer's strike has a lot of people wondering what the hell is going to happen with a lot of these industries, and James Gunn's Superman Legacy film is no exception. It seems to be that this movie is safe from the writer's strike so far because he finished the first draft of this movie before the writer's strike went into place. He's also writer and producer on the project, so they can at least continue pre-production on the film while this writer's strike gets worked out.
You think we're going to see like goofiness like we did in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes, yes,
You
I do.
so we're gonna get like a goofy Marvel-esque Superman.
I mean, I don't know if it will. Like, I think that the undertones will be goofier than I would usually want for. Like, I don't want goofy Superman. I want wholesome Superman. But the question is, like, what's closer to wholesome? James Gunn goofiness or Zack Snyder's darker interpretation of it, which are the only two that we seem to be getting outside of the animated movies.
Who did the Batman? Was that Snyder?
No, Matt Reeves did the Batman.
Oh, I didn't like. Okay, I didn't like that.
I gotta say, I didn't hate Man of Steel. Right, like
I didn't either.
I thought it was okay. Like it to me seemed like a reasonable Superman. It was a more sober and serious Superman.
Yeah,
probably,
but not
a little more,
but not in the spirit of the comics, so you understand where the complaint for it comes
Sure. Right. So that's my take on at least on Superman.
Yeah, so they're still working on it. He says with a version of the script, the flick can continue to work on pre-production. I also saw this awful picture yesterday that Dallas Sanier posted on Twitter of James Gunn. It was like a Guardians of the Galaxy press piece, right? They always get their Vanity Fair covers and all their magazine covers and all this stuff comes out. I wish I'd pulled it up, but it's basically him, and they're all like, he's dressed like he's in an episode of Designing Women. Like he looks like a girl, and he's dressed he's not dressed like a girl in a dress. He's dressed like a girl in like a girl's pantsuit, and it looks kind of ridiculous.
Reminds me, sounds like when Michael Scott wore the woman's suit in The Office.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
but, maybe it was on sale, man. Just too good of a deal to pass up.
Those multi-million-dollar companies that are making these ads can't afford it, or that are making these magazines can't afford it.
Which side were the buttons on? Were you able to tell?
I didn't even check. See, I actually had to point that out to someone recently, that the buttons are on the opposite side for men's clothing.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, like I remember the first time I noticed that wasn't because it was women's clothing. It was because a company that I skated for was based out of Europe, and they put their buttons on the opposite side.
We have a $20 super chat.
Do we?
Yeah,
go for it.
I don't know why. Oh, there's the money.
No, go for
it. Gabby Hayes says, being an avid Mortal Kombat player since 5 years old, I wore a rose gold chain with a diamond encrusted Mortal Kombat dragon pendant. I haven't ripped any spines out yet. Welcome, Kellen and Phil. For the boys.
Well, yes. I'm assuming that that's in relation to the video game discussion. But we actually have a little bit of Mortal Kombat news here, so this is...
nice tie-in. We appreciate it, Gabby.
This is fortuitous. Thank you. Carl Urban is in final talks for Mortal Kombat 2. I watched Dredd the other weekend, and I love the 2012 Dredd movie. It's so good in an age where action movies are all watered down.
The 2000, that is not the Sylvester Stallone.
No, it's that was the 1995 Judge Dredd, and I don't even remember that one.
95? Was it?
Yeah, 95. I don't even remember that one. There's movies from that time period which, when I was younger, I could probably recite to you word for word, like that, or Total Recall or something like that. But now it's just he's also remaking Cliffhanger.
I mean, what? Sly Stallone is?
Yeah.
He's 70-something.
Yeah, they're gonna, or maybe it's a continuation. I just saw it in the news the other day. They're gonna do another Cliffhanger.
I love Sly Stallone. I really do. I liked all the Rambo, all of the Rambo movies, even the new ones, the old ones.
I thought the last one was fine.
Yeah,
it was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
I like it all, but my dude, you are as old as George
really
W.
good.
Bush.
But he looks good for his age. If you watch Tulsa King, he is in so much better shape than men half his age.
I tell you, yes, true. Most men are in terrible shape.
Yes.
And Sly Stallone is not. But Sly Stallone, he does share a birthday with George W. Bush.
Does he?
Literally the same day.
Wow.
Yeah,
same year?
Same year, same day.
Oh, wow.
And they are not spring chickens. Everyone knows you're on HGH and juice, Sly.
Yes.
Everyone knows.
And that's fine.
I
admit it.
Fully endorse it.
I was going to say, how old is that Rambo movie that came out recently?
2019, I think.
Was it that recent?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, he even seemed too old in that. I'm like, great movie, but man, just go relax, go rest, go find a boat.
No, he's got Tulsa King now. Tulsa King's great.
He does look good. He puts up TikToks with his family, and
because one of the themes in Tulsa King was he's doing the FBI agent lady, the Andrea Savage character, the actress's name is Andrea Savage, and she's gets kind of retroactively grossed out when she finds out that he's 70 something years old, because the dude doesn't look 70. The dude looks like he's in his late 50s.
And if you don't look terrible, then why be grossed out? The whole point, the reason that you get grossed out, I thought, was because of physical revulsion, not because of. I mean, I guess maybe some people, a concept can find, set off the revulsion, I guess.
I saw a great piece of stand-up the other night where this guy says, like, he's like, I got a friend that's a girl, and she says, I got a boyfriend. He's 30 years older than me. She goes, but don't worry. I'm not dating him for his money. As if he goes, well, actually, in the grand scheme of things, that would be the most normal reason you date a dude 30 years older than you. It's not like you said to me, oh, I'm not dating him for his money. It's because stories about the Gulf War really turn me on. The guy's right. Like the dating him for his money makes the most sense in that situation. It just does. They're saying that he's not likely to play Johnny Cage because he's too old. Carl Urban's like 51 years old, and he's not likely to play Johnny Cage unless they change the character and they make him like a broken down has-been Johnny Cage rather than the Johnny Cage that was in the original games and movies. Lyndon Ashby played him in the original movie. They're also saying that he could have played Kano, but they had Kano in the last Mortal Kombat movie, and he was actually the best part of that movie. The guy who played Kano was great.
I don't think I watched the new one. I watched the one from like the early 2000s, Mortal Kombat. Or was it
95?
Was it 95?
95. Did you ever see Mortal Kombat Annihilation? That's the real question.
No.
That's too bad. You should go watch that.
No, but I love Johnny Cage and then the one from the 90s, Total Chad, which I think, is very fitting.
We could use more Chads in Hollywood.
Yes.
We could definitely use more Chads. We need the levels of Chad are far too low.
We do not want Harry Styles playing Johnny Cage.
Oh no!
Don't do it.
Oh my god!
Don't do it. I can see them thinking about it.
You're
Don't
gonna speak
do it.
that.
I know.
Harry Styles is the guy that's in Dune, right?
No,
that's that's Timothy Chalamet.
He looks like he nails that.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Dune fan, but from what I can gather, like this reboot of Dune is doing very well to the source material, if I understand correctly.
Denis Villeneuve, the director, said like he got into filmmaking basically because he wanted to make Dune.
Good for him.
That was his thing. Fun fact: I had to rewatch Dune on HBO Max because Tim walked out of it when we went to it. It's boring. It's stupid. I don't want to watch it.
I had to turn it off.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it all the way through. It was just too slow for me, and I don't.
Well, yeah, you don't like Lord of the Rings, and that was like a hot take yesterday.
Yeah, Dune, I'm just like, what's the point here? And then it was an hour, and I'm like, there's still no point. All right, I'm out.
I mean, Dune's one of those ones where because I did film school, like I can just watch the visuals and be fine watching it, but not more than once. Like I'm not going to go back and rewatch it.
You're talking about the back in the day one with Sting and stuff, right?
No, I'm saying the new one. The visuals are so fantastic on the new one. I mean, the old one was more of a fever dream than the new one is. The new one is more restrained in its storytelling. So, guys, I think that Carl Urban could be an interesting actor to do Mortal Kombat. We'll have to see when that comes out. That last one came out during COVID, so it is like I don't think it got a theater release. It went straight to HBO Max. So, also, Revenant 2.
Really?
I guess.
Bear sex.
Apparently, Revenant 2 Electric Boogaloo. I don't know what they're going to do with this, if he's going to go back and he's going to cut his way out of another bear in this one.
Like I don't know what he's doing.
They're saying the Revenant 2 in development, Leonardo DiCaprio returning. Does Leonardo ever do sequels? I don't know if he ever does sequels.
I don't know.
I can't think of a Leonardo DiCaprio sequel off the top of my head. If he has, it's not coming to me.
I'm in the same boat.
I'm thinking hard right now.
Yeah, I can't think of it. So, just a heads up if that interests anyone. And also, did you see that Ed Sheeran won his lawsuit?
Against who?
Like he was being sued by the estate of Marvin Gaye for copyright over a song, and basically he said that if he didn't win this lawsuit, he was just going to retire from music.
Well, I mean, it's not like he needs money.
Yeah, I know, right? You know? Like it was like apparently the '70s song "Let's Get It On" is very similar to his song "Thinking Out Loud." And apparently he won. Like he had to play like music in court and stuff like that, and explain to them why it wasn't a copy.
I mean, a chord progression is a chord progression.
He said he was going to quit music if they found that he stole it, but I think the verdict came in. So
yeah, no, he's not guilty. They said not guilty.
Yeah, he's good.
Were the lyrics the same or something?
No, I think it was. I think he said. I think it had to do more to do with the background music. The chord progression.
Chord progressions are chord progressions, man. So, I mean, look, if you and really, I mean, I'm not familiar with the Ed Sheeran song, but chord progression, man, it's hard to be like, oh, that chord progression's mine. There's only so many chords.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I watched like a video where like it's like a comedy skit where a guy plays like 4 chords.
Yeah, the 4-chord song.
And then he plays
Axis of Awesome.
all of the songs that cover it, right?
Yeah, and a lot of times I think what they're actually doing is they're showing you the intervals, because the songs originally, if I understand correctly, the songs originally aren't actually in the same key when they go through all those different songs. It's just that the intervals are all the same, and that's something that is common to, people have. There are certain intervals that work that people just continue to like, and that's why people say, oh, all the pop songs sound the same, blah blah blah. That's because people respond to the same intervals,
and they're made by companies that want to make money. Therefore, they're going to keep making songs that sound like that.
They're going to make songs that people want to listen to, because they do want to make money, but people really drive it. It's the people that listen to stuff, that's what the companies respond to. So it's really driven by will people listen to it?
Yeah.
Because you can dump a bunch of money into stuff and have fake number ones and fake stuff, but then that shows, like when a band has like a bunch of number ones, but then they go and they play a 500 cap place, and they can't fill it, or they just barely fill it. It's like, well, did you really have 5 number ones?
I want to
just purchased.
There's a bunch of pop songs. I can't think of any of them off the top of my head that are just clear, like they just stole the melody from like 80s pop, and and they just completely changed the lyrics, and now they're like EDM pop, whatever. I want to know how they get away with it. And like kind of radio hits.
Because if I understand correctly, you have to change the source material by
like 30% or something.
Yeah, there's a certain amount that you have to change it. So if you change the lyrics, if you take the same stuff and change the lyrics, you're changing it 50%.
That's
at
true.
least.
There's a great,
because half of it, like if I wanted to, I could run All That Remains. Like I take 50% of everything because I'm the vocalist and I write the lyrics, and then any riffs and music I write only adds on top of it. We don't do it that way, but that's what I could do, because the way that the legally the lyrics are 50% of a song and melody is 50% of a song. So
there's a great old clip of Prince during an interview where he says sampling has gotten out of control. He goes, I don't sample. When I sing, the microphone's really on, and it's just it's hilariously like not mean spirited. He's being sarcastic and funny, but at the same time it's dry.
The thing about Prince is Prince can do that stuff because Prince was so exceptional. I mean, he is top 10 of all time, maybe. So like when Prince looks at you and is like, and I've heard stories like he's on stage with a bunch of people. Someone makes a mistake, and Prince looks over and he goes, "I'll wait for you," because Prince doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah,
So
as a Minnesotan, that's
I love Prince. The purple one is I have so much respect for Prince. So, anyways.
All right, let us move on. We got a couple of other things to talk about here. Let's talk about gym culture, shall we?
Gym culture. I like the gym.
I want to talk about this because these stories have become kind of, in a way, we're getting a lot of these days. The women in gyms who are we've talked about all the ones before. We talked about the lady who made the video and then got ratioed. This lady got ratioed as well, where she talks about. Should we just watch the beginning of it, or should we watch the whole thing?
Watch it.
We'll watch. This is just really funny because it's such a nothing burger, and she was just reaching really hard.
Guys showing off at the gym, part 1. I was doing yoga, and then this guy walked across the turf, threw the medicine ball at the wall 3 times, and then left. Gotta love that.
So you're upset.
Should we watch his as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
That this man is working out in the same area as you, and you think he's trying to impress you, to hit on you, simply because he's doing an exercise, a common exercise, where he's not looking at you, he's not trying to talk to you, and he can't even see that you're taking a video of him. And I think it's funny that you say he only does 3 reps and then he leaves. But in that time, you were able to think about it, take your phone out, and take a video of him where he's doing 2 of those reps.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense. Stop taking videos of people at the gym to post on social media to make fun of them.
I love you, Joyce.
Gyms need to change their policy and start kicking people out for doing this.
Yep.
So to the...
Think so?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. There's
gyms have started doing it.
Yeah. Like if you want to film yourself, I don't have any problem with it. I'm not the dude that would give you crap for setting up a tripod. Go off. Do your thing.
Right.
Maybe it's just you're looking at your form. Maybe it's just keeping yourself accountable. Whatever. Fine. But don't film other people, and don't insult or criticize other people at the gym, especially when this is just narcissism.
And it discourages people from wanting to go.
Absolutely.
There's a $20 one right there.
Oh, hold on a second. Let me get that.
Sammy.
From Sammy Spills the Tea. Hi, guys. Joining late, but wanted to say I'm such a fan, and a special hi to Phil. Thank you. I appreciate it, Sammy. Cheers. Thank you very much. So, yes, I think that Joey Swole is great. I think that that girl was looking for TikTok clout.
Yeah.
I think that gyms should kick people out for that.
Yeah.
I'd almost rather them set up a tripod because it's
Yeah.
like you're setting up a tripod. It's like a stationary thing that's not going to move.
Well, that's what happened
People
with the
can
girl.
avoid you.
That's what happened with the girl who took the video where she was like, the guy was behind her and she kept pulling the close-up shot of the guy. I was trying to think of an analog that would have happened to me, and that would have been something like at a skate park where it would be like somebody assuming that I'm coming over to go skate the same thing as someone else, which is absurd and stupid to think that I give a crap what you're doing. Like I remember I got into one of the rare times I got into an argument with somebody online about the sensitivity that's come around skate parks, and it seems to be in a lot of the same way that they're doing here. One of them that was really interesting was somebody who was like, I went to a skate park recently because I'm a girl, and I was talking to everyone, and this guy was just skating with his headphones on. And he didn't say hi to me. I'm like, that dude doesn't owe you.
Right.
That dude doesn't owe you shit. A lot of people go to the skate park at the end of the day to decompress, to get away from having to say hello to people and stuff like this. And it feels like we're now entering a space because of phones and because of technology and because of how sensitive everyone is, that you have to now be on guard at every opportunity, no matter what public space you're in, even if it's a public space where you should be able to be private.
The latest one of these gym videos that I've seen was a woman recording herself, and she tries to hit on the guy next to her, and he just completely shuts her down. Hey, he's like, huh? And she's like, oh, I was just saying, like, how are you doing?
Yeah.
He's like, sorry, I'm just trying to work out.
Yeah.
Just shut her down. And,
I would too.
Kudos to her, because then she, swallowed her pride and posted the video, so.
Oh, like as like me
Cell phone.
me getting shut down. I can always appreciate people who have the strength to do that too, right? Like it takes a lot to be able to laugh at yourself. I could be better at laughing at myself.
Yeah.
I can admit that fully, that I could do better about like owning the gaffes and leaning into it more.
It's funny though, because I've heard before, it's like, oh, women will be like, you have no idea what it's like, for going to the gym because men will hit on you. I'm like,
neither do they, because they live in a fantasy world.
Exactly. I'm like, it happens both sides,
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think that there is too much incentive from social, and it's not something that we can do anything about because it's just part of human nature, I think. But there's so much incentive for people to do things like that and post it on social media to get the dopamine hit from all the likes, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that there has to be more people that are exceedingly critical of these videos when they're put on the internet, because it only encourages people when there are people saying, yes, that other person's wrong, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
The fact that you're sitting there filming probably indicates that you're looking for attention and you're in the wrong. Especially at this point.
Unless it's like a crazy feat. Like one video that comes to my mind is very old. It was a football player, and he's in his like pool at his house. So first of all, not a public space, but he was able to jump out of like 3 feet of water, stationary, just jump out of the pool. And that's how strong, it was just showing how strong his legs were. And I'm like, I appreciate that. That's cool. It's very impressive.
Yeah.
It's not just a normal workout using a normal machine at a gym.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing special about these gym videos.
I do love the meme videos where it's like me walking into the gym and he's putting his gloves on and he looks into a guy lifting a couch, and he looks right and it's a guy lifting 2 couches, and it's like you have to watch these videos.
I know what you're talking about.
I'll send you a couple of them. I'll send you a couple of them later. It's this guy who he does these videos where it's like him, and it's always to Eye of the Tiger. So he's always walking into the gym to Eye of the Tiger, and it's just people doing absurd workouts.
Yeah. I've seen one in the captions like, man, these workouts are getting ridiculous. And the guy's like got the actual bench strapped over around it. He's like wearing it with a chain
while doing squats.
I have not seen these, but I am interested.
But those are like, parody on purpose. They're meant to be funny. They found a unique avenue, and it's kind of like mocking the whole recording people at the gym.
I mean, I love the videos, because there are plenty of women who have also leaned into the joke of it, where they make the videos where it's clearly a joke video where they're like filming themselves with 3 phones, and like guys are trying to get around them without getting in the shot, and they're like falling over because the girl's filming herself with 3 phones.
Oh no, I was thinking of the zombie one.
Yep.
Have you seen that one where it's like the zombie influencer, and then like they all, because it was making fun of now everywhere on city streets they'll have people with their little personal mics, so their iPhones using it as mic, and they're asking people questions, right? And so he's like going to Target or like Walmart.
Oh no, there's a guy doing that at a mall, where he's at a mall, and the guy goes up to this lady, and he's like, how much does your apartment cost? And she tells him, she's like, I don't know, like $1,500 a month. He goes, can I see it? She's like, no. Why would I let you see it? And like and they finds out like the guy's a zombie, and people get bit, and like then she starts getting followed around the mall by people like, what's your body count?
They're just coming from everywhere.
Like, tell me about your sexual marketplace value, and it's stuff like that. And then she gets outside, and she's being saved by a guy with like a Nerf gun who's shooting off the zombies, and then she gets bit at the end, and then he has to take her out. It's incredible.
Have you seen
what does she start asking when she gets bit?
Oh, I can't remember.
It's got to be like something like, how much money do you make?
It's really clever. Like, oh no, he's like, get in the car, and she goes, nice car. What do you do for a like it was very clever to cap it that way, which was like the original of those videos.
I was going to say, have you seen the original? Because they might be some of the most cringy things. It's the guy in New York, and he goes to random people, and he's like, can I see where you live? And every time they're just like, sure.
Yeah, of course. I would love to let a complete stranger come into my home. Why not? That sounds like, I mean, there's the guy who does like, he does these videos about like the cheapest apartments in New York City, and they're always basically like broom closets that like they're high but not wide, and there's barely any space in there. And then my favorite is the comment sections on those, because you really can tell where a person is at in their life by their take on this. So the jaded person is like, the world's falling apart. Look at the way these awful landlords have turned broom closets into apartments. And then the people that are more positive are like, look, these are people that want to live in a city, and they're saving a lot of money, and they don't seem like they're all that upset. Well, one lady, she said like her rent was like $600 a month, and they're like, holy crap. She's like, my gym membership is like $1,500.
Can you imagine?
But like you can tell like who's in like where your headspace is at by what your take on something like that is. Is it exploitative and awful, or are these kids who are getting an opportunity to live a life that might be a little bit, me or you or I might not want to live in a broom closet, but they're taking a risk, and they're going to have stories to tell when they're older.
When I was, when All That Remains was starting, and I'm in my late 20s, it was no big deal for me to sleep in a van for 3 years.
Yeah.
I slept in the van from
we did 2002 plenty of tour sleeping
until
in the van.
2007, 6, 7, I was in the van almost the entire time we were, and I was on tour almost the entire time too, trying to get the band off the ground. So it's like totally fine. Yeah. I won't do a tour in a van now.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to sleep in a van.
I remember the first time we were on tour, and we got like an actual hotel. I'm like, holy crap. Yeah. And that was about the extent of it. Otherwise you're like, and ours wasn't usually always vans. Ours was like, you go on tour, but you stay with people in the area. Yep. Like, cause that's just what the culture was.
Right. There's a lot of times
aggressive skating.
I met some of the most wonderful people in the world that were just like, yo, we'll put you up.
Yeah.
Come hang out at our house. Yeah. So after the show, we go to their house and stay, sleep on their couch, use their bathroom, shower and stuff. Or we would just sleep out front, but we would have a bathroom that we could go to.
That's
because
cool.
That's a big deal, right?
I was just going to say, these apartments you guys are talking about, they have to share community bathrooms
this
it's
lady,
college.
Yeah, the last one that I watched, she had her own bathroom, and that was like the big
That's a big deal in New York, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, it was tiny, but she's like, but it's mine.
Yeah, right. And again, this isn't something that I would personally want, but because I wouldn't want to live in New York City. But I get making the if you're like, I love the nightlife and the bustling and blah, 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 or I'm, if you're one of those people that works in the city and you're hustling and stuff.
You're making a lot of money because normally your rent is...
Then more power to you. Get out there and get it. Go get your bag, But again, that's something, it all depends on the person. And just because you're watching this video and you wouldn't want to do it doesn't mean there aren't people out there that wouldn't jump at the chance.
Those comments were the ones that bother me. The ones who make it about something, the negative. Like, oh, look at these landlords. I'm like, yeah, it kind of sucks, but this person's going to have great stories to tell when they're older. And people have we celebrate van life. We celebrate.
No, we shouldn't though.
I know that Kellen's hot take is that that van life shouldn't be a thing.
It shouldn't. I mean, if that's like your vacation, you go and rent an RV for a month or two or the whole summer, cool. But
you are full of hot takes, my friend.
You shouldn't just want to live in a van 24/7. It's not I'm sorry. It's just it's silly. It's a dumb idea. But you know, these apartments, like I get not being totally jaded, but at the same time, there should you should not. I don't like. Aren't there regulations? Aren't there building codes? Like how
I'm
are
sure
these?
many building codes are being violated.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that bothers me. Is like, how can you get a 400 square foot apartment, if that, with no bathroom? I mean, that just seems like that shouldn't even exist.
Because the other apartments in the area cost 4 times that,
I know,
or 5 times
I know.
that.
It's a deep problem. Yeah.
All right. Let us move on, shall we, guys? Let's get started today. We got cute of the day and we've got cringe of the day. What would you guys like to see first? Cute or cringe?
What do you think, Ellen?
Let's do cute first.
Let's do cute of the day first. All right, guys. So we've got some submissions from everybody here. First, we have this is my cute pup Rosie says Hellraiser art. Let's go in closer. That is adorable.
Oh my God,
Rosie is adorable. I like it. Is that a tire? It's a tire.
It's like a Lego tire or something.
What kind of dog is that? That thing is adorable.
It looks like a Chihuahua pug.
Brussels Griffons. Griffons? I don't know what that means.
I'm a dog person. Even little dogs, just like them. Don't care.
There you go.
Dogs.
Little dogs are neurotic, but in a cute way.
Yep.
You know, just like that. Like that's perfectly captures the
My mom has
little
one.
dogs.
Oh, we got a
$20 one right there.
Kellen. This is from Quiet Blackpilled.
I think it's quite black-pilled.
Quite. Oh yes, quite. Sorry.
Quiet black-pilled would be different.
It would be.
Yes.
Quite black-pilled. Kellen mentioned a Gears of War show yesterday. Hemsworth, Momoa, and The Rock could actually be sick if the writing doesn't suck. Arnie being too old, suck. And if we must throw Michelle Rodriguez in there to appease Twitter.
She would. She's basically already is a Gears of War character, Michelle Rodriguez.
She kind of is, right?
Hemsworth would be good for Baird. I don't know if you're thinking
Vin
of
Diesel, guys?
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel's kind of like a marshmallow now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's only 90 days. And he's not a marshmallow
and he's
anymore.
back in shape for the
90
movies.
days and just the right amount of pharmaceutical help.
The Rock would be good. I still think
chicken and vegetables.
That's right.
I still think Terry Crews would be the best person for Cole because he already like screams like Cole and he's built. You know, I mean, that's the fun thing with this show is because they're so ridiculously jacked. It's going to be fun seeing who they pick for the casting. Because
we were talking yesterday. Like I was talking about, like I went on I watched all the Terminator movies last weekend, and it hit me when I was watching Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles when they would try to get regular actors to play Terminators, and just they're not Arnie. They're not that built. They're not that big. Doesn't work.
I mean, as much as nowadays, I think the idea of a Terminator like Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator is very, very quaint and old fashioned now. Like that's a very old way of looking at the future, you know. And the 90s Terminator is something that's probably more of a futuristic idea. But the police officer and the girl were not intimidating the way that Arnold Schwarzenegger was.
No.
It just didn't have the frightening factor.
Well, I don't. You think they were trying to be because the Matrix, like was it not
99?
No, but what were the characters that were the evil guys? What were they called?
Mr. Smith?
Mr. Smith? Yeah, see, they were creepy. Agent Smith, they were creepy in that way that you're saying the Terminators failed.
Yes.
And
Those
I don't know.
Terminators, it's funny. I tweeted yesterday. I said I never appreciated until rewatching the 1984 Terminator just how 80s the music is.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's like when I was watching it, maybe because I wasn't feeling well on Saturday. Every time he's chasing Sarah Connor, I felt like I was tripping on Quaaludes and Coke. It's because it's not really chase music. It's like weird. It's like weird 80s synth. But it's not scary. It's unsettling.
Yeah.
Like it's weird. Like
Maniac did that too. The Netflix limited series. It's with Jonah Hill and another famous female actress. But it's about them being in a mental asylum, and a lot of their action scenes are like 80s synth, like creepy dystopian.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess that's the connection people make now with that, because Stranger Things has a ton of that synth music.
Yeah. If you want to watch a modern television director who does great synth scoring and everything, is a guy named Blake Neely. He does the scoring for all of the. He did the scoring for all of the Arrowverse shows. He also did. What was that? He did a couple of other big. He did not Person of Interest. That was
Emma
Ramin,
Stone. That's who it was.
That was Ramin Djawadi. He did Blind Spot. which was a show that I really, really liked with Jamie Alexander. And his score is all super synth and electronic, and it's fantastic. But he, if you remember I don't know if either of you watched Arrow, in season 5, Arrow had the character of Prometheus. In the score for the character was like a deep, dark version of basically Doodly-Doo from in Wayne's World when he goes Doodly-Doo. It's like the score for this character was like an evil version of that. No, yeah, that's literally what it was. I wish I could play it on air right now, but yeah, like unsettling, not scary. It's a different thing. It's like it's scary, but in a different way. So, all right, we've got more pets here. We got a couple more cute ones. Let's see here. Not exactly pets, but the local squirrels love me. Says says
awesome.
Tasteful Gaming. He's got videos. Let's watch them. No audio. That's okay. Oh, he's feeding them. That's why they come back for more.
I expect. No, I don't expect. I demand squirrel noises. You know, you got to send in some audio next time.
Yeah, read squirrel.
Oh my god, that video is fantastic.
It really is.
Yes. See. Well, it's like if you feed them, they come back for more. That's what happens, right?
They do.
Wonder if his neighbors are like, oh, there goes that squirrel man again.
I'm not a fan of squirrels personally, but
not a fan.
I don't mind them.
I live in my place in New Hampshire is like literally in the woods, so they're everywhere. So
Right.
Constantly trying to get into the ceiling and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's annoying. We had a squirrel at one of the houses I grew up in, and you would just hear him because he would get into the gutter, not quite the attic or the ceiling. He'd get into the gutter. And then, you're sitting there, you're minding your own business, watching football on Sunday, then like all the way down. It's like, dude.
Squirrel, we don't really, I see them out here, but not a ton of them.
They're around.
Yeah.
They're definitely around. We do get a decent amount, but they've never been a nuisance to me.
Nope.
Some people say they're like the pigeons of DC. Okay. And I'm like, I don't know.
All right, we got one more here. This is from Sam Roba on Twitter. It says Young Reek. I think he said his name is. I think it's Rico is the animal's name. This adorable dog.
Oh, look at him.
3/23/98. Thank you. It's a great year. Yeah. Oh.
Rico.
Oh my God, that tongue is amazing. It's huge. Okay.
Hey, Jugga boy.
All right.
Wait, I see another paw in that photo. Where's the other dog?
Yeah, where's the other dog? He's left out.
Come on.
All right, we will save the rest for tomorrow. We got one more $20 one right there, Phil.
Hey. Nebik 27. Is that an I or is that an L?
That
an I?
looks like
Nebik?
I.
Nebik 27 says, "Hey Phil, stack up, homie. Love your Twitter post."
What was the Twitter post?
So Ian Michael Duncan, I think is his name.
Okay.
Comedian, had made a remark about not liking guns, and someone then made a remark about telling Ian to stack up, which is,
what was his? I think I might have read it. What was his post about guns?
Essentially, he said if there are no guns, there won't be any kind of gun violence. Which yeah, fine.
It's an unrealistic.
It is,
thing.
and fair enough. So, but Ian was like, someone said to Ian, stack up, homie, and he was a young guy, thin, and Ian took issue with the way he looked. He looked a little too young and a little too not intimidating to say stack up to Ian. So Ian was like, Ian Michael Black, that's the name. Thank you, Chad. Yeah. And he then mocked the kid. And so I took an old picture of me where I had like a whole bunch of kit and my rifle, and I was like, stack up, homie, because.
Crisis Party!
Oh! Nice.
Yes. Lots of swearing this week.
Yes.
And you, that was your scream. That was your I've also got a couple coming up from Ian. Ian did some custom screaming for us.
Nice.
Yeah, that's going to be coming up. I also liked the other one the other day where who is it that said like the AR-15 is not good for home defense?
Yeah, I mean, only every single CQB unit in America uses a short-barreled AR-15 for entry teams, but they're terrible for gunfighting. Listen, I tell you what, the gun that I have at my house to take care of my house, like to protect my house, it's an AR-15. It's a little one, and it's set up to work well in confined spaces.
Do you have
they just work.
Do you have booby traps?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay.
Sweet.
All right. Let's go into cringe of the day. Kellen found the cringe of the day today. This is from a fan putting their. Well, let's just watch. This is from. How do you pronounce this band name?
I have no. It's
I'm not a K-pop. I'm not a K-pop fan.
I wouldn't even try.
So it's like NMIXX. Is it Wimixon? That'd be great. Here it is.
The thing is, if you get it wrong, the K-pop fans will never let you live it down.
If you ever get kidnapped, just insult BTS online. They will find you.
They will find you
in no time whatsoever. You'll be saved because they will find your location.
Yeah, you'll be canceled.
Yes,
but you'll live.
Right.
So here it is. So somebody just put their baby on the stage.
Oh. Okay.
And the lady's like, please don't do that. Please don't put the baby.
Why they're singing and performing still?
Don't give me your child.
Like, I love my music, but I don't want your kids.
Yeah, no,
okay.
no.
What's the craziest thing similar to that's ever happened to you, Phil?
Anybody ever put a baby up on stage?
I mean, I've had to have people removed for being too touchy. I had a lady removed one time for being too touchy. I threatened to hit someone for being too touchy.
They get on stage?
A lot of times what will happen is if there's not a good barricade, if you go up to the front, specifically ladies feel like they're entitled to put their hands on you. Dudes don't do it a whole bunch, obviously. But yeah, it's usually ladies. Huh. And there's been times where I've had people removed because they were too touchy, and you know, I'm just
but
like,
nothing remotely close to someone putting a baby on
No one ever
stage.
tried to give me their child.
Someone's like, I love all that remains. Here's my firstborn.
No,
that is all that remains.
But this was,
oh God.
Here was the response. This was my favorite response, though. It says, "This lady at the concert." F them kids.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we saved it for the show. Oh my gosh.
F them kids.
I can't. Can you play that again for me?
I can play that again. It says the bottom.
It's great.
Kids. Those poor kids, man. Like, so now that's going to be you'll know you've made it even further in your career when somebody's like, this is Charlie.
Here's my child.
Here's my child. Here's
so
my child.
good.
For anyone in the chat that wants to know about the picture that he's referring to, I just retweeted it on my Twitter account if you want to check it out.
All right, guys, let's get started, shall we? We got a bunch of stuff to get into today. First things first, I want to talk about the fact that every time it seems like somebody in Hollywood, we'll call it Hollywood because these are older celebrities, every time somebody comes out on one of these social issues that really are just common sense. In this case, we're dealing with Paul Stanley and we're dealing with John Cleese, and the two big crazy issues we're talking about here is that men shouldn't compete in women's sports, and maybe we shouldn't give HRT to kids. Like that's the crazy concept here, guys. It says John Cleese says biological men in women's sports have an unfair advantage. He's right. Am I right? Right? So I want to know, why is it that it's always these older, aging celebrities who say these things?
Because they don't know anything. They don't know better. They're trying to fit in. That's what I assume.
No, he's saying that makes no sense. He's going against what everyone's saying. He's actually trying not to fit in right now.
What is it? He said that there should not be.
Yeah, he says biological men in women's sports have an unfair advantage. He's going against the Hollywood narrative.
Is he saying that like general? I thought he was talking about just one specific thing.
I mean, it doesn't matter. The idea here is we're talking about is the overarching concept that the only people that ever seem to be able to speak out against this stuff, against common sense or towards common sense, seem to be old.
Well, yeah, because there is a certain amount of like, I don't care when you get older.
Because you've made your money, you're just older.
It's older because look, I'm not a spring chicken, you know, and it's like when I was 21, things that do not seem important to me now seemed vital when I was 21.
Can you give me an example?
Telling people on the internet they're wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Like that seemed like it was super
like you had
important.
to do it all the time.
And this is back in the day when it was like, you know, I was on message boards, not even
Wild
social.
West.
Social media.
For us in skating, it was Skeptic Industries in Minnesota, and then we had what was called Roller News, where if you wanted to lower your self-esteem, your skating edits went on Roller News, and then you read all of the comments from people without names that were all about you suck, maybe you should go unalive yourself, you're awful. That was the majority of what it was. So we were raised at a time where that was the norm.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that kind of thing, you know, was real. But when it comes to like older guys and specifically, you know, crabby old men is kind of what it really is. It's like dudes that have got to the point where they're just like, I don't have to worry about. Like John Cleese doesn't care if he gets canceled because he's not on Twitter all the time. He's not on his phone all the time. And I tell you what, when you say something that upsets people and you just mute whatever it is, your life goes on and you don't even know.
When we were going to DC that one time, and you're like, I just pissed off everyone on Twitter, and then just
and just mute it, and then let them rage. Your life does not change, and if you mute it, for the most part, your Twitter experience doesn't change either. It's just like it didn't even happen. Just mute the thread.
Well, if you ever had to babysit a small child, you'll know that if they start throwing a tantrum, you let them scream and cry, and they tire themselves out. Yeah. And it's the same thing for Twitter. But I got to push back, Brett. The reason that this is news is proof that this doesn't happen enough. Right? I don't think there are a ton of old men that don't care anymore. Like, this is news because he's one of the only people speaking up.
When it does happen, it's old people. All of the people here. I'll give you another example. Aside from Paul Stanley.
What about J.K. Rowling?
That's literally what that was literally what I was about to bring up. So I have a list of all of the people that supported or didn't support J.K. Rowling. You want to know the big difference is the ages between all of the people that didn't support her and all the people that did. All of the people whose lives she made, meaning Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, and Daniel Radcliffe, they condemn her because they're young. I think Rupert Grint might be ambivalent, but Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson condemn her, even though they wouldn't have careers if it wasn't for her. All of the older actors who, for the most part, careers were fine either way. They were already big name actors. They didn't need these roles to be famous. They're the ones who said, maybe I agree with her, maybe I don't, but she has a right to say what she says. Robbie Coltrane, Helena Bonham Carter, Ray Fiennes, Jason Isaacs. All of these people are basically saying, like, look, they all kind of, some of them say I support her. Other people are saying like she has a right to her opinions. But the problem is the younger ones aren't saying that because they've been bred into an ideology that's very different. And the ones that are not bred into that ideology, even if they're scared. They're scared to speak up.
But for something like this, I think there's a large percentage of the large portion of people too, percentage of the population that this is just an insane thing to even entertain a conversation about, right? It'd be like if all of a sudden everyone's saying the sky is actually red. It's never been blue. It's like, I'm not even going to talk about that. It's ridiculous. It's nonsense. Why are we even having this conversation? I think there's a lot of people that still feel that way about the whole men in women's sports. Either they're in denial and they don't think it's happening, or they're like, oh, it's a few one-off cases. It doesn't matter. Not until we start seeing like their favorite sports stars like LeBron James and Patrick Mahomes, we talked about him yesterday, and not until they're impacted by this are we going to actually see any meaningful conversations.
$20 super chat. Unusable alpaca says Vanilla Ice went through the same thing back in the day. I don't know exactly what you're referring to. Yeah, because it might have been a minute ago.
Long time ago. Are they saying that he went through the same thing?
It just says Vanilla Ice went through the same thing back in the day. I'm not sure what that
means. If we're talking about speaking up, then
upsetting people.
He has this great video where he explains why pop culture died in the 90s. I keep meaning to show it on the show here.
Oh yeah.
But I think all the versions that I keep seeing, they put Ice Ice Baby in the background so you get copyrights struck on it. But there is a part of this that I agree with you on, and that is that a lot of them don't understand the size of the monster that's been bred out of woke culture, right? So Paul Stanley goes out and says basically that childhood sexual reassignment surgery is a dangerous fad. That was
100%.
And we all agree. To the people with the 30,000-foot view, you're like, yeah, that's insane. Why would you be doing that? But what they don't understand is the size of the monster that woke culture has now built up. And this is proven because Dee Snider ended up commenting on this. And Dee Snider basically says, you know what? There was a time when I felt pretty too, he wrote, glad my parents didn't jump to any rash conclusions. Well said at Paul Stanley Live. Now, what's funny about that is the Twisted Sister were the ones who wouldn't let Trump play We're Not Gonna Take It because they wanted to get involved in politics.
The predictable thing about the left is if you're on the left now, eventually you'll be in the center, and then when you're old, you'll be on the right.
Yeah.
Because that's the way the left works. Yep. So if you think, oh, I'm progressive, you have to be consistently progressive because
forever.
And the reason is because the people that actually like the thought leaders on the left, the people that are actually writing the books in schools and that are coming up with leftist philosophy and progressing the left-leaning ideas, they all believe that the revolution must be constant.
Yeah.
You can't ever stop having a revolution.
Yeah.
You can't ever stop progressing, because if you do, then you become stagnant, then you become calcified, then you become the status quo, then you become conservative. And that's what's happening to the quote-unquote TERFs right now.
Right.
They used to be progressive feminists, but because the LGBTQ IA plus group has basically usurped the intersectional feminist position, now trans women are the group that are on the cutting edge of the sociology departments, and trans women are saying, hey, we're women, and feminists who spent all this time saying, hey, we're women and we're blah, 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 and all this stuff, now they want to have female-only space. Or not now. They want to retain their female-only spaces, and the trans people are like, well, trans women are like, well, I'm a woman.
Right.
And the TERFs are like, no, the F you're not. We've been fighting to keep men, which is what TERFs consider trans women, keep men out of our spaces for so long. And that's what happens all the time on the left, because the left is the dialectic must continue. There's always going to be someone that's going to be criticizing, pulling down pieces of the existing structure, because they're trying to get to the little bit of gold inside, and that's the philosophy.
Go ahead.
I'd say it's kind of a weird reflection of why our charities are the way they are, why all activist groups go the way they go, because you can't actually preach for the change you want, because then you put yourself out of a job.
Yep. We got a $19 or $20 super chat. Martin Santiago. Please see the chat for my last comment. It wouldn't let me super chat. I wonder why. Hey, Phil. Martin Santiago. All right, we're going to try and find.
What did he say?
While you look for his chat, I was going to say, I think a big part of why we're seeing what we're seeing, and exactly what you're saying, Phil, is how if you're left now, you will become center in 5 years and so on. It's you have a whole generation. I'm talking about my generation that was raised on, it's the oppression Olympics, right? So like, we want to lift everybody up, and the people that don't have, we want to make sure that they have. But the problem is, we did that. We accomplished that goal, and now they're aimless. So they have to create the oppressed people now. There are no just oppressed people really in the country anymore. So they have to create it through this LGBTQ movement, because like, I think the argument's completely lost. It's like, what rights don't you have? Like, there's like trans rights or human rights. It's like, what?
Well, those are all just statements that don't actually say anything.
Yeah, but like, I understand that.
We got another $20 super chat from CK. 100% with Phil here. To say that you're a leftist progressive is akin to saying you have no firm beliefs or values. Exactly. If your core beliefs can invert radically based on the opinion of the day, you don't have real beliefs.
It's also funny too, because I consider myself in a lot of ways still very liberal. It's just that
the thing is, liberal is not left.
No.
You're 100% liberal, but people, the left has essentially infiltrated the culture producing institutions in society, media, your schools, the
entertainment, Hollywood.
Exactly. So they've infiltrated, and they've been telling liberals that don't understand liberal philosophy really deeply that progressive ideas are liberal. They are not. They are progressive. And those two things are significantly different. Liberalism points to the individual. Progressivism points to a collective society that they're progressing towards.
I don't even like the term progressive, because in the root of that word, it's progress. But that's not what they're doing. They're taking the system, lifting it up, and turning it upside down. That's not progress, right? Like kicking women out of their women-only sports for someone else that's having a identity crisis, right? That's not progress. That's like regressing.
Well, to them,
so I hate when they say they're progressive, because it's like, you're not for anything,
to
man.
them, they're for the reason that they're doing this is it's called gender abolitionism. So they want to abolish the concept of gender. They want people to abandon man and woman. And now I don't think that I'm happy that they're pushing for this because I think
it's radicalism.
It's so radical that people are going to reject it. It's like most people are going to reject it, I think. But that's what they want to do. They're gender abolitionists. They say we don't think that people should.
And Hollywood is on the front lines of pushing this right now.
100%.
It's like every time we have to cover an award show, and they're like, we don't want Best Actor and Best Actress because it's sexist.
It's gendered.
Because it's gendered, right? I do want to point out that there was a tweet here when I wanted to talk about whether these people actually believe the things that they're pushing, or whether they're just doing it to go along, to get along, because that's how they're going to make their money. That's how they're going to stay in the favor of the industry right now. Xavier DeRusso on Twitter, he was on IRL the other last week. He's a good dude. Says 75% of influencers, actors, and actresses I've met in Hollywood do not support the woke propaganda going on. At some point, they'll finally speak out. But for now, we are going to continue to being bold and unnormalized, canceling anyone who knows that there are only two genders.
That's been my experience as well. We just got a $50
oh wow
from Perturbed Alpaca.
Go for it.
Just eloped with the love of my life a couple hours ago.
Wow.
If Phil could scream congratulations, Bobby and Ashley, that'd be awesome. Things only tend left when you allow leftists to run the education system or the military. Perturbed Alpaca, you're on to something.
Did you see the Navy influencer? Yes,
I did. Let me do this. Hold on. You might want to.
I got it.
Yeah. Congratulations, Bobby and Ashley!
Oh my God.
Cheers.
Awesome.
Luckily, I only have one ear I have to cover because I can't hear in the other. So yes, congratulations, Bobby and Ashley.
That's huge.
That's amazing.
Cheers,
congratulations. Did you see the Navy influencer?
I did. It's. Did you also see that the guy that was on the Bin Laden raid was like, "This is what I fought for. What the hell?" The dude that shot Bin Laden's like, "Man, this is bullshit."
It's the world we live in now.
Right?
It's like, thanks.
And you know what? That was less than 10 years ago.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah.
Like, or no, just over 10 years ago, because it was, I think it's 12. It was 2011.
By the way, yesterday, I don't think anyone got your reference when you said, ladies and gentlemen, they got him.
Really?
That
was Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, but we got that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I was going to say it.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We got him.
We got him.
All right. Let's go. We got a couple of super chats up at the top there. Shall we, Phil? Right up at the top, Regatan.
Do we? Okay, let me see here.
Nope, wrong camera. There we go.
All righty, Regatan. I got my first job. No more watching PCC for. That's terrible.
Well, watch it after work.
You know that YouTube saves these things, right?
Like, it's not going away.
Yeah.
You don't just have to watch. This isn't like back in the 90s when you'd watch like a television show and then when it's done, it's just gone, never to be seen again. Like, my favorite was like, Kellen, you're too young to understand this. Back in the day, if you liked the X-Files, you didn't get box set DVDs. They released a huge thing of VHSs with like 3 episodes. You got like 6 episodes total. Like two on each VHS, and they got to pick which ones. That's what you got.
I had a VHS player. Come on now.
That's what you got. Like, you didn't get all the episodes and audio commentary.
No.
By the way, I would pay one of these streaming services to start putting in the audio commentary that used to come on the DVD tracks. Because the whole reason that I collect like physical media, apart from just the fact that these sites keep editing and censoring content, is because I actually I'm a geek for the audio commentary and stuff like that. So I would like to see more of that.
I think it's funny that this guy actually thinks this show's live.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Do you think we have time to sit here for 2 hours? Nah, man. We all just zoom in.
That's it. And then we're down to Hiroshima Otaru.
Hiroshima Otaru.
Good for you. I remember Andy and Lydia when they were here were like laughing at me because I was like yelling that while skating one day because I was like I fell and like hit my shin and I was like, oh, Brett, fantastic, good for you. It's
good going.
I'm very loud and sarcastic when I get hurt.
Well, hopefully you don't get hurt much. Let's see. Hiroshima Otaru. Let his dad die for no reason in Man of Steel, not Superman. I mean, his dad was like, don't expose yourself.
It's like, didn't say it was Superman, just said it was an okay movie. I understand that it's not a faithful comic book adaptation.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's see. Greg Duvier. You're loud, I'm louder. You're weak, I'm power. Go ahead and try to paint me red because I'm like no one that you've ever met. You're loud, I'm louder. You rock. Oh, and those are lyrics from a song called Louder from a record called Madness that we released in 2017.
All right.
So, cheers. Thank you.
Let's hold off on the rest, and we will come back after the next segment, guys. So we're moving on. Snoop Dogg, he's weighing in during the writer's strike, in which he's saying basically that, and I think fairly and accurately, that the streaming platforms for musicians find a way to screw the artists out of a lot of money, do they not?
Yes, he's talking about streaming.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's go into it here. So he says artists need to figure it out in the same way that the writers are figuring out. Snoop said on a panel on Wednesday with Shirley Halpern. He says the writers are striking because streaming they can't get paid because when it's on platform it's not like in the box office. He's basically saying like once you sell that show to HBO, you've sold it and you're not really making a lot of money on the back end the same way that you do. I don't think box office is actually the best comparison. I think network television is the best comparison, being that when you sell when you go and you make a show on network television, there are residuals once it goes into syndication, right? So those people who wrote and acted in Seinfeld and wrote and acted in Friends are making gazillions of dollars every year because of the cultural relevance those shows still have. Look at The Office goes from network, it literally gets sold from streaming service to streaming service because it's so popular, it will bring people in to watch it. So those people should make that money. And he's arguing here. He says, much of the conversation, which took place at the Milken's Institute of Global Conference, revolved around Jackson's newly launched Gamma business and its significant investment in Vidya, its digital distribution arm, which established a major foothold in Africa in 2017. Was Snoop Dogg the one recently who said that if all black people moved to Africa, they'd be the most powerful nation in the world? Might have been somebody else.
Well, that's wrong because Africa's a whole continent.
Yeah.
So shut up, dummy.
They didn't say continent in the in
Africa's a whole continent. There's a whole bunch of countries. What the hell are you talking about?
So it says Gamma's entrance into Africa and the Middle East excludes the includes the appointment of Sifo Lamini, the new president of the regions, and they go into talking about basically royalties are bad for streaming, right? Like you're making a couple of cents per play.
Oh, I wish.
Like not even a couple of cents, a cent per play.
No. 0.7 of 1 cent
per play.
Per play.
So you make so it's like per 5,000 plays you get a certain amount.
Yeah.
It's
bad.
Well,
it's very bad.
So what do they do to fix it? They can't unionize.
Well, no. It's what has to happen is there has to be people that know about I don't know exactly how to fix it. I assume that I think that people that are doing their own stuff, right? So people that are releasing their own music now that are not going through labels. I don't think that you can do anything about the past. So if you signed a label, like All That Remains signed to labels, years and years ago, I don't think we can do anything about the past. Moving forward, we're not on a label right now. We're talking to a bunch of different companies about distro deals and licensing stuff. So we're going to get a really, really, really good deal because if a label doesn't want to do it, I can do everything on my own. Yeah. Right. All That Remains can do everything. Now, it'd be nice to have a label that has the infrastructure and do a deal with someone so that way they have the radio crew and an infrastructure to do it. But we don't need it. Yeah. And so now because we don't need it, I don't have to give the songs away in perpetuity. So when all the records that we've written, someone else owns the music, right? Anything I do in the future, I will own it.
Right.
Like I'll license it. You can promote it and sell it or help me sell it. But then it's going to come back to me after either 5 or 10 or something years. Yeah. So I'm not giving things up forever. The amount of money that I make on platinum records now, like a platinum record, and it's not a bunch of money. Yeah. Like I don't have to work another job if I want to sit at home and just sit at home and do nothing. I can do that. But I'm not going on trips if I'm doing that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
I think the issue too is ever since the digital age of music. So when CDs fell out of favor and the iPod got big, right? Yep. I think it's either been the artist is making $1.30 per song, which that's hard to do for if you're an average listener, is to shell out $1.30 for every song you want to listen to.
But they're not making the $1.30. I mean, that's getting cut up between the record label.
I know. But now the pendulum swung the complete opposite way, where like the average listener is there's paying $10 a month for unlimited songs. So we need to find that middle ground where, it was a little bit pricey before and now it's dirt cheap. Well, we need to find that middle ground.
You're never getting it back. People, now that music is thought of as free, and that's essentially what it is, no one will ever pay for songs. They'll pay because they like the artist. That's why artists have to be content creators nowadays.
The best artists nowadays have learned. I was talking about this recently. So like all of the most successful artists that I'm seeing, they're not even just doing it through music. They're doing it through viral marketing, and they found a way to brand themselves. Right? You're no longer able. Like everyone kind of has to be a Renaissance man in that field.
For new artists, I think, Like All That Remains, we can rely on our fan base. We built a fan base before, so like we put something out, we know that people are going to get it. Obviously, we want to do as much as we can to support social media and produce content for our fans and stuff like that. But we know that we have a built-in fan base of people that will check out our music, at least a floor. New bands, they don't have that stuff, so they have to look at different ways of getting traction. The best way is not a label. If you can learn how to do this stuff on your computer at home, you can get really, really high quality production stuff just at your house, right?
Like Tom McDonald has like 3 million subscribers now, and does that all like him, his girlfriend, and his parents are like the people that do everything. And like, but when you think about it, like, because he mails out albums and stuff like that, and he's like, it's boxes and boxes, and it's like that's days and days and days of work. People don't realize just how much, like, they don't realize how much those labels provided infrastructure. Back then.
I don't know Tom McDonald. I wouldn't speak about what he does do, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Tom McDonald working hard doing all the stuff himself was a little bit of a show, or there's him helping out, but then he had an infrastructure behind him, because it's not like he ain't making the money.
Serge was telling me, because Serge does music as well, he produces music, that there's companies that, if you sell 500 units, they will process and do everything. They'll take a cut. It's not a label, though. So there's now these companies.
That's what we're talking about.
Right. So these companies have propped up now where they're like, okay, you want to release a physical, they'll like, oh, do you want to release physical media? Which is kind of crazy to think about. That's not the norm anymore.
But right now, like I said, we're literally in the process of talking to multiple companies right now, distros and stuff. And they're all just digital. We totally, if we want, we're actually having a problem finding a company that's like, yes, we want to put out physical.
Would it not,
or at least not a problem, but there are more just digitals that are coming with than digital and physical.
If you were to like poll, your fans on Twitter, and you asked what they would prefer, and they chose physical media, would that make sense for you from a business standpoint?
On Twitter, they'd probably say, "Who's All That Remains?"
Sure.
But on Instagram or whatever.
Let's say people like said, "Hey, Phil, we will purchase, your physical media, whether it's records or CDs or USB drives, whatever it may be, we'll purchase the physical copies of it." Would that make more sense from a business standpoint nowadays, or do you guys want to kind of find the best way possible in the digital landscape?
I want to produce products that people will purchase and that people want. So like whatever people want to listen to the music on, I want to provide a way for them to listen to All That Remains on that platform. I don't care what it is.
I know. I found the issue that like new cars don't have CD players. Like my car, it's not even new. It's a few years old, but no CD disc, nowhere to put a CD. I've got a little USB port. But
I bought my Jeep last summer, and there's no CD player. It's Wi-Fi, and then there's a USB-C port, which surprised the crap out of me that they had a C. But they had regular USB-A, USB-C, one USB-C, and then a bunch of USB-As.
Yeah, so it's like I would love to, start collecting CDs, but I have no way to play them currently.
There's that amazing. Have you ever seen the meme of like Leonardo DiCaprio and he's like in Titanic when he's showing the art to Rose
and it's CDs.
And it's CDs. Yeah. He was like impressing my crush with my CD collection in the 90s. Back in the day. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit. So it says the partnership with Snoop Dogg involves the exclusive rights to market and distribute Death Row Records catalog. He bought Death Row Records, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So as somebody who grew up loving Tupac, that
I just bought a Death Row. I just bought the old school, the white one.
Yes.
Just bought it this past weekend, and I was wearing it. Like I didn't. It's kind of a crappy shirt. I wish it was I bought it at like Spencer.
The quality's bad.
I want to find someone that makes like a nice shirt.
I have the black one with the red logo.
Yeah.
And it's just a belly shirt basically. I can't wear it, but I
know, but I want that. You know, like a good shirt with that cool logo.
That logo was awesome back in the day. Death Row Records ruled. So it says Snoop Dogg could have gone to any 3 major labels, but he would have been getting paid on a biannual basis. But now that Gamma has the financial analytics dashboard, we're paying Snoop Dogg once a month.
We just got a $20 super chat. Unusable alpaca again. Vanilla Ice was sued over Ice Baby.
Oh, because it's like under pressure.
Have you ever heard him describe that? He's like, yo, the other one goes ding, 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 ding. But mine goes ding, 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 ding. And that little... That's what does it. I swear he was trying to. Maybe it wasn't a snap. It was like ding ding or something like that. But he was like, yeah, that little change is whatever. I don't know if it bothered him.
That and the flat top. That and the fade and the flat top is what did it for him.
The lines in the eyebrow.
Yeah, of course.
Vanilla Ice. Like when I try to picture him, I just keep picturing Kid Rock.
You know.
I don't know why.
Dude, actually, if you like right now,
metal, right? The Vanilla Ice went in to do metal music,
and he also does home renovations now. He had a show on HGTV, and he looks like himself still. I mean, he looks like an older version.
He's in good shape,
and he's in great shape. And he does, like Kid Rock looks like he never stopped drinking. Yeah, Vanilla Ice looks like he stopped drinking and decided to take care of himself once he hit 40.
Some home projects.
Yeah, you know.
They singled out the issue of royalty rates and streams on YouTube Shorts, which
awful. Awful.
There's if you want to make money, YouTube Shorts is the opposite way to do it. It's not the way to do that. I think we had like one recently, like a stream that like a short that did really, really well. It got over 3 million views. I think it made like $100.
Yeah.
If I understand well, Reels are good on Instagram.
They got rid of the partner program on that.
Oh, God.
That was like I was making like somebody like me who doesn't has like a small like 10,000 followers on Instagram, but was like I used to get way more views back when I was skating every day and I was putting out content every day. Now when you're not putting out content every day, you're not getting those views because the algorithm punishes you for not putting something out every day. And I was still making like a little bit of money every month.
This is a totally different subject, but it's so infuriating that like Instagram doesn't just look at what TikTok is doing and say, let's do that. Like all the they're trying, but they're blowing it. It's like all the small things that TikTok does, which promote people, like make people get into like algorithms.
Phil wants to be the Dylan Mulvaney.
I am not going to be on. I have a TikTok, but I barely use it because I can't make a TikTok. I can make TikToks, but I can't produce TikToks and do acting. I'm not an actor. I don't want to be a.
Twitter's starting to become more TikTok with its algorithm, and it's really getting annoying.
I have always liked Twitter, and I've been a fan of Twitter, and I don't have a whole lot of problem with Twitter right now. I don't go into the For You thing very much. So that's probably
I was going to say, depending on how long you look at a photo or video, or if you interact with it, if you comment, like it's completely changing the algorithm, and they're tweaking it on the fly because Elon's trying to make it better. Facebook, who owns Instagram, they've been notorious for just ripping off other people's proprietary
they just buy the
intellectual property, or they just buy the company.
I have nothing good to say about Facebook or Instagram.
Snapchat, TikTok. There's been other examples that it's been years since they've had any controversy, but they try their best. They try their best to rip off other people.
The thing I think is there's so many times when I see a video on TikTok, or I'm sorry, on Instagram that I want to actually get the video, download it, and they won't let you download the videos. TikTok, you just pull it off. They're like, whatever, man, it's cool. It's like, why don't you do that, Instagram? What the hell is wrong with you?
You have to download an app, like a second.
I don't to do it. What is up with that? Like, why? And I mean, look, like I said, I hate Instagram anyways, so it's not like I'm dying to post on there. But
are you gonna join that Blue Sky?
I probably should get Phil That Remains because I get Phil That Remains everywhere, so I probably should try. I don't think that it's going to be like, it's definitely not going to be a situation where I'm going to go and have a lot of people that I get along with, because it's definitely left and liberals and progressives are separating themselves. There's going to be a lot of progressives over at Blue Sky and a lot of regular liberals.
I don't think it's going to last, because it's like that
Probably
Mastodon thing. Humans are creatures of habit.
Isn't it easier to use? Isn't Blue Sky as easy to use as Twitter though? Because part of the problem with Mastodon, if I understand correctly, is it was difficult to use, specifically for normies.
I have no idea. Okay. I'm not on the Blue Sky. But what I understand is there's more content moderation that you can do for your own feed. So like it's using AI, and you can be like, I don't want to see guns ever, and that's like a setting you can choose and stuff like that. So
why? Like why? Like I mean, I know that like
I don't know.
I know people don't like. There are people that complain about the For You tab, but like the For You tab reflects what you interact with. If you let things upset you and then you complain about them, your For You tab is going to make you mad.
Yeah,
that's literally what it's going to do.
I'm glad it's happening, because like streaming services and social media are kind of having the same issue where there's so many players in the field. People are just like, I'm done with it. Like I don't want any part of this.
Just don't care anymore.
Yeah, which is good, because we don't need the streaming services. Too many of them. Let's just go back to cable. Just let cable be a little bit more unhinged.
No, just give it all to Netflix.
And
just let Netflix
social media, man. We've tried the social media experiment, and look where it's gotten us. Now we're good. So
I'm the opposite on the streaming services. Look, I buy physical media. I don't have as much here. I left most of it all in Minnesota just because I don't want to have to like rebuild. Like there's something about like having half of it in one place and half of it in another. But in general, I like being able to go and check out different stream. Like I found actually like what's weird is like my mood will reflect what streaming services I watch. So yes, so like HBO ends up being weekends because there's more movies there that I end up watching.
Okay.
That, and then Hulu tends to be the stuff I watch during the week because that's where most of the shows that are like full series dramas that are from start to finish are there. Up like there's dozens of them that I can choose from.
How many streaming services do you have?
A lot of them.
Dude, I should know. Too many. That's the answer.
You guys don't even know?
Maybe like 5 or 6.
Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. I don't consider Amazon Prime because I don't even use it for. I buy stuff off Amazon Prime. HBO Max, Peacock. I think that's it. I had BritBox for a while. I like BritBox for British television, but I don't have that one. I got rid of Disney Plus, so I did my good deed.
I got rid of Disney Plus.
I did my good deed by getting rid of Disney.
Disney Plus I have, and I have Apple.
And I don't have Apple.
I've got Netflix, Hulu.
I'm an Apple whore. I have everything Apple.
You know what's really good, and it's only like $5 a month, is Paramount.
I have Paramount. Yeah, but that's with ads.
I got Paramount because I wanted to watch Halo, and I hated it. And
Halo was so bad.
And now I'm mad at Paramount.
It's so bad
for ruining it.
But it's
I had to pay to watch something I hated.
You think they're gonna get a second season?
I hope not.
I think they will.
God damn it!
Paramount guys has Jericho, and it has Under the Dome. And a couple of these other
Yellowstone,
shows.
right?
And yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh, Paramount has Yellowstone?
Yeah.
I should watch that because there are a lot of people that talk about it.
I want to watch the older one, which I haven't gotten around to it. Apparently, like the 1883 or whatever.
1883 is really good. I like 1883 better than I like.
And then there's like
Yellowstone. 1923. I have not watched 1923 yet.
God.
The
Yellowstone universe.
I will start watching it, and then I will sit there and I will peruse Twitter the entire time it's on, and I will have no idea what happened.
That's it's the thing. Like for me, like during the week, most television I put on, it's background noise.
Yeah.
Like that's why they're like, you should review this. I'm like, dude, when I get off work, I just want to put something on in the background and relax. I've watched a couple of things recently that I reviewed Citadel for 2 episodes. Even then, it was so boring and paint by numbers that by like halfway through, I had to stop myself and put my phone down because it was not interesting.
You know what? The last thing that I actually sat down and tried to watch and get into was The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah. And I haven't. And after that, I was like, all right, I'm kind of over it. And after that, like, I don't watch any. Like, I think I just have no hope for any episodic stuff to be worth a crap. I just am so over everything. I'm just like, I'm sure this is going to be terrible.
I gave up on Marvel ages ago.
Yeah. I right after that first, I think I spoke about it yesterday, right after the first Endgame movie, when they were like, oh, we killed off half the characters. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And they're like, just kidding. We're going to go back in time and save everyone.
It's comics.
And that ruined it.
I see. That's the thing. I was like, it's comic book. It's perfect comic book stuff. It's exactly what comic books do. So it didn't bother me because it was comic book stuff. I was like, this is, if you read, like, you read comics growing up, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I read a lot of comics growing up, and like that was so right in line with what comics do, especially like Golden Age stuff.
I will say that the last show that I liked enough to rewatch was Reacher, but that was like back in 2021 when that came out, and that second season.
I find that, you know, like a lot of times I'll find shows that are already like 5-6 seasons established, and then I'll be like, okay, because you have a proven, dude, with how many cancellations we get these days, it's hard to even get into anything.
Some of my favorite shows have only get like 2 seasons and canceled, and I love them.
I watched it was 1899, which was
got 1 season, it got canceled,
but it got canceled like 2 weeks after the first season dropped. And it's like, dude, that is such a terrible metric. It upsets me. These
shows, like there's a show called Rosewood. It's like this show starring Morris Chestnut. It's like the most paint by numbers like medical police procedural. Loved it. Had Alfre Woodard in it, and like of course 2 seasons and just axed immediately. That was back when Fox would be like, they'd wait 2 seasons to find out if you liked it, and then as soon as you said you liked it, they're like, well, too bad for you, and then they'd cancel.
That Dasovic kid likes it. Yeah, you can't pull the plug.
Maybe not just me, but in general, they're like, oh look, people like it. Psych, not anymore. You don't get it anymore.
So I mean, it's hard, and then that's just it though. It's like, we're dealing with that on top of we both have 6 at least different streaming services, so
make me feel
too much,
guilty.
man.
Streamline your life, boys.
Less is more.
Streamline your life.
And YouTube Premium.
Don't have that either.
I will never watch an ad on YouTube. YouTube can kick rocks.
Are you guys subscribed to the whatever the Daily Wire that they put out, like the cartoons?
I did.
You know what? I think I am a Daily Wire subscriber now that you mentioned it.
You ever watch that? I'm not.
I never watch anything on the Daily Wire. I always if I watch Ben Shapiro, like I'll watch periodically. Usually I watch it on YouTube. But I probably should watch it on their
They have like kids programming now, like cartoons. I'm pretty sure in a couple movies. Like what was the one that's called with Gina?
Terror on the Prairie. And Samita Armstrong.
I got that. I got Daily Wire because I wanted to see Run, Fight, Hide, or Run, Fight, or Run, Hide, Fight, or whatever it is. Yeah. And I never got around to watching it. But I still got an account. I should probably check it out.
Well, that's how they get you, right?
Yeah, that's right.
They get you to hold on to it. All right,
Ben!
We got some super chats there. We're up at, I believe we're at, where are we up here?
We had just done, okay, the next one is Tacty Platty. U3 Rock. Beware Big Avocado, Kellen.
Yep.
I'm a Redskins fan. Or is that a?
He's. I think that's what. I think he's saying he's a Redskins fan.
I think so.
Yeah.
The Commanders. The commies.
Have you seen the guy who they made the shirt that says the Caucasians?
I think it would be if the Washington team would please change their name to the Washington Caucasians. That would be the best thing ever.
It would be hilarious.
I would love it. I would buy the shirt and wear it. Actually, I think the shirt probably exists now.
No. I think it was made. It's made as like a novelty item.
Yeah,
It's like in the vein of the Redskins logo, and it says the Caucasians.
When Hurricane Sandy was coming up the East Coast back in 2009, I think it was. I remember there's some news channel that was making jokes. They're like, there's a risk of tornadoes today, but the safest place you want to be is FedEx Field, the Redskins Stadium, because there's never any touchdowns there.
That's amazing.
I probably, for my father, I have a favorable view of the Redskins back in the day. He was like, I like the Redskins. There was a couple
the Hogs.
And he didn't really have a particular reason. He's like, these are just kind of the ones that I like, and I would watch football with Dad, and I was kind of picked up the same kind of
similar story. My dad, he's from California, but he likes the Pittsburgh Steelers, and so when I started watching football, I'm like, I'm going to root for the team you like, and now I'm a Steelers fan. And he's just like, they were decent at the time that I started watching football, so I was like, I'll choose them, and I'm like, okay.
So the next one, another one from Irishima Otaru, I think it's correct. Yeah. He says Dune isn't true to the source material.
New Dune isn't true to the source material. Well, then somebody should tell that to Denis Villeneuve, because he loves making that movie.
It's over 9,000 says, Brett, I recommend you play some 3 Days Grace next time you skate. Their singer, Adam Gontier, battled and overcame an OxyContin addiction.
They have a cover of somebody that I used to know that I really like.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Who?
3 Days Grace.
No, I was making a joke.
Gautier.
Sorry.
Quite black-pilled.
No, that was
we
the
got that one
$20
already,
one.
yeah.
We got James Orenthal win.
James Orenthal Nguyen. I exclusively play GNR's You Could Be Mine because of T2. That is a great song. And T2, even though the Terminators were not as intimidating as the original, it was still a great movie.
Yep.
Very, very awesome 90s movie.
I love them for different reasons. I love the first Terminator because it's kind of the pacing is so fast throughout the whole movie. It's over in like a heartbeat. It's only like an hour and 45 minutes long.
It's short.
Like, and that's amazing. Like, I don't want 3-hour movies. I don't want 2.5-hour movies. I want hour and 50 minutes, 2 hours at the max. I don't need longer than that.
Have you ever heard of YouTube Shorts?
Yes, I've heard of
or
that.
Or TikTok?
Yeah, I've heard of that. Like, I want somebody to do that. I want somebody to just upload all of T1 in shorts, just
the whole thing.
147 shorts.
I can't believe someone.
No, that'd be like thousands upon thousands of. That'd be an ass.
Well, you guys saw that someone uploaded the entire Mario movie on Twitter.
Did they?
9. Yeah,
it got pulled now. But
down like 9 hours. They took it down like 9 hours later.
I remember seeing it, but I'm like, I'm not sitting here watching this on my phone. But it did pop in my feed, and I was like, wow, how did this guy get away with it? But he didn't. They got him.
Yeah, you know.
The last of my kind.
The last of my kind. May the 4th be with you all, boys, boys, boys. Cheers.
It's boys.
Oh, okay.
Whenever Mary is off doing other podcasts or whatever.
Boys.
The podcast.
Podcast, yes.
Right.
Yeah, and yes, may the 4th be with you. Like I woke up and I think I made it about 25 minutes on social media before I saw any May the 4th be with you posts. So I made it a pretty good period of time.
Are you guys doing anything special for tomorrow?
For Cinco de Mayo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go sombrero shopping. No, I have no idea.
You guys should make tacos on air.
That sounds really dangerous.
What? No, just have the ground beef already cooked. Just assemble the taco.
Yeah, like we did like when Vera was here, we made homemade Baja Blast.
Yeah.
On air. Maybe we could do that. Sounds good. Xavier. We have a special guest tomorrow. Xavier DeRusso, who's on IRL.
Is he coming back?
Yeah, he's coming back. He's gonna be doing the show
cool
with us tomorrow.
Dude, yeah, you guys should definitely do something for Cinco de Mayo.
He made some comments about Kim Kardashian that we might talk about tomorrow.
Okay.
I liked it.
Were they good comments?
They
or
were
bad
good.
comments?
No, they were good comments.
Oh, okay.
So we might talk about it.
She was complaining on the internet.
Yeah, basically. Let's do one more. Nick Pagan.
1 second. Nick Pagan. Yo, can I get a Phil feature on a song? I make new metal, trap metal. You can. It's not cheap.
This costs money.
It does.
You guys don't want to know what it costs.
It's a pricey endeavor. All right, guys, we're
not
moving
gonna be a few $100.
We're gonna talk a little bit about this. Is a very, very I almost feel like we should have gotten into this one second, but let's talk about the right and culture and pop culture and whether the right undervalues art, entertainment, pop culture, and media. Lately, Matt Walsh has been going back and forth with Jeremy Hambley of The Quartering. He was also getting into it with G Prime. They were talking about it. They were talking about it in the context of letting your kids play video games for too long. You saw that exchange. And a lot of people believe, and I do agree, this is my stance on it, that I do believe that the right, as we know it, not what I would consider the cultural right, because like I said, I think the right now encompasses so many different groups that it's very hard to pin down what that is, because a lot of people would call me right, and I don't consider myself right.
Nowadays, the right really means not left.
Exactly.
If you're not the left, if you're if you're an actual liberal or a conservative, then you're quote unquote the right, and the left is the left.
Right.
So, do you believe that the right, as we know it, the traditional right, undervalues art in entertainment?
No.
I don't know that I'm tapped into what the traditional right thinks either, though.
I believe
the religious right. So I put a poll up on the live chat. So far, 83% say yes, that they do believe that the right underestimates the importance of pop culture, music, television, video games, etc.
Okay, when you phrase the question that way, then yes, but I don't think they undervalue it. I don't think they pay attention to it
Well, I mean, then that's undervaluing it by not paying attention to it.
I mean, there was a time when All That Remains was, so this is before the culture war got really hot, right? Before, it was like 10 years ago. When we were coming up, I was kind of like, being like, yo, I'd like to go and talk to like conservatives and kind of be, available to talk to people and blah, blah, blah. And like MSNBC had me on their website and stuff. I said dirty words.
Nice.
It was about free speech. But it's like they had me on. Nobody at Fox was calling. Nobody at the Blaze was calling. And I was doing basically everything I could to be like, hey, we're in a band that's doing good things and like you should blah blah blah, and they don't the right doesn't really have much interest. It was as if I couldn't get their attention or whatever. And so I think that there's probably some truth to that the right doesn't really realize that there's value. It's easy to be like, okay, Five Finger Death Punchers is like arguably the biggest metal band going right now. It's easy to be like, oh, if Five Finger Death Punch wants to do something that favors right-leaning stuff, that's obviously you want to go ahead and get on that. But really where I think you pay bills is when you have, I mean, obviously you want to have as much impact from big artists, but if you get a bunch of small artists and have them kind of putting ideas out there, it does pay dividends, and it pays serious dividends in the culture. It pays dividends with a lot of people, with reaching more people that are listening to a similar message.
I'll tell you right now, the White House is parading influencers and actors in and out more than they're bringing in national security advisors.
Yeah,
I think so. I don't know how I quite want to phrase this, but I don't think it's controversial that the right, if you will, isn't paying enough mind to arts and entertainment as the left. They have a completely different lifestyle, right? When you're someone who grows up on a farm, you don't have time to go to protests. You don't have time to go and paint and stuff like this. You are working, and you're working hard. But it's a different type of art. Like being able to produce vegetables and raise animals and have a working farm is art in itself.
We're not talking about that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about typical art right now. We're talking about the art, the mass media
music,
art.
movies, sure, but it's my point remains, right? It's like when you are busy working, like that's the thing, like you said, after a long day's work, you want to rewatch something that you're not going out and looking. And so the left constantly has people who have an abundance of free time. They have the opportunity and the ability to go and read new books, look at paintings, watch new movies, right? The right, who is driving trucks, working on farms, working a lot of these blue collar jobs, hustling, they don't have time or the energy to spend just trying to find new art. And that's why
I think that's to their detriment long term.
But that's why I originally said I don't think they don't value it. I just don't think they're just not paying attention to it.
I think there's a certain amount of personality that goes into it. So like your the attributes that make up your characteristic, that make up your personality. Artists tend to have a left-leaning bias.
Yes.
Not all the time, but
absolutely, they do.
And that
because it's part of being, it's part of that form of expression, right? Yeah. Like they're more you could say emotionally tuned in a way. Yeah. Like they're more in their feelings, and like I said, Ben Shapiro is going to come out here and say like facts don't care about your feelings. Well, they don't care about facts. Yeah. They care about feelings, and they want to. My favorite thing to break down is always like whenever they make these excuses when they change a television show, and they're like, why is George Bush going to be played by a black guy? And they're like, well, because it wasn't really about George Bush. It was about exploration. And they start naming off all of these vague terms as to why it's this or why it's that. That's artist speak for just we wanted to make it something that it wasn't, so it is what it is. But in their head, it makes sense. Yeah. Right?
I mean, I think you're right. There is an amount of desire to change what change reality, create something. They want to affect reality. They want to create something. And so, fair enough, but that's not to say that there aren't people that are, on the liberal side that are artists. And I think that, again, a lot of the problem is that the far left has smuggled far left ideas in wearing liberal clothing or wearing a liberal, facade.
So, what I'm seeing right now is you've got I actually don't think either side's really creating new art. I think this goes with the whole reboot phenomenon that right now is that as a society right now we've completely lost creativity.
Apple TV's putting out stuff that's not reboots, right? Like Apple, nobody watches it, but Apple TV's doing it.
Like
Severance.
Far left radicalists will go into museums and completely destroy priceless works of art.
Given the opportunity, yes, they will.
The right, rather than producing new buildings with the architecture that they want to see, they just complain how everything's just bland and boring now, and be like, we used to have like I forget what the word is that they use, but we used to have decorum, and they'd show pictures of like the pillars, like basically DC architecture, all that ancient kind of medieval-esque Gothic style,
which is an arid reproduction of Roman architecture.
Right. The point is there's nothing new being made. Yep. It's one side destroying what exists and the other side complaining that we don't have it anymore.
When people talk about Matt Walsh and these things that are being said here, right? Like, I do think that there's a lot to be said about the idea that, look, conservative policy might make a good life, but good art makes life worth living. Like, there's a lot of people that believe, like, in Minnesota, for all of the problems the government has, it has beautiful museums, it has beautiful architecture, it has all of this great art and stuff like that, but the city is not very worth living in right now.
Right.
So it's like you have to find a medium between the two. Yeah. I do think that to the right's detriment, they don't understand the cultural influence that these things have over kids, over the youth.
I think that's a great point you bring up. That's why Austin, Texas was really cool. You were down there, Phil. Mm-hmm. The city was really, really cool because it's in a red state. So you get that conservatism. It's still, Austin's blue, but you still get the conservatism that's hovering around at all times. But then you do get that really cool art where every street corner, unless you go to like downtown, most street corners are clean, but they've got awesome murals on the wall, right? Mm-hmm. So you get this nice balance going on. And I don't know how long it's going to last.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing.
But right now, I loved my time in Austin. I'm like, it's a beautiful city. It's clean for the most part.
It's on a
I'm
clock.
not worried about getting attacked,
Mm-hmm. But it's through these mediums that you influence the kids. And we can say that all they're making is reboots and all they're doing is this and that. They're still influencing the next generation with all of these projects.
But sure. I'm not saying they're not successful. I'm saying, but just new art is not really being created.
I'm not talking about whether it's good art. I'm saying, do we underestimate the importance of it, good or not?
I don't. Maybe that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah. But I just think people are afraid to take risks. Yeah. And the risks that we are seeing is like kind of ridiculous. Like, what was that new sculpture we saw in New York that went up? Can you pull up a picture of that?
The one when I don't know it. Like,
I'll try to find the name of it.
What was that on? Like and it looked really horrible.
I know. It was like two people hugging or something. I think it was like.
What was that of? Do you remember that?
It was of, I think, Martin Luther King hugging his wife.
It was like a Martin Luther King sculpture, and it looked horrible.
Oh, it was the arms. Yes.
Yeah.
It just looked like a penis.
Oh my God.
There were too many directions you could look at it, or too many perspectives you could have where it looks like a penis.
It's called Embrace Sculpture.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, and
everybody, look, it's the whole Rian Johnson syndrome, right? Yeah. Rian Johnson wanted to ruin Star Wars, so that's what he did. And that's what artists today do. If you can't create, they're just like, well, then I'm just going to ruin things.
And I think for them, it's like he's being put in charge of this massive property with all of this success. It's like, how do you live up to that?
Rian Johnson?
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, for somebody like him, it's like he's not taking it as a challenge. He's just too intimidated, so therefore he tears it down.
I can't speak to what he was thinking, but I can speak to the fact that I hate his guts, and I hope that he never makes another movie again.
Well, I actually liked Glass Onion, so
I haven't.
I'm fine with his work as long as he's not adapting. As long as he's not adapting.
I will say,
Star Wars, and I don't want to go see anything else.
For all the reboots, Knives Out and Glass Onion have been refreshing, and they're not even that good of a movie. I mean, they're good.
It's fine.
But they're not.
It's fine.
Like, where is the Good Will Hunting of movies anymore? Right? Mm-hmm. Where's those groundbreaking movies that everyone has? And maybe it's just because we live in a world where everything's online. You can either pirate it or just stream it as it gets a dual release.
Remember, most movies that have impact have some kind of risk, right? Like, everybody talks about like how great Pulp Fiction was, right? Or there's so many people that that was a really risky movie with a lot of edgy stuff. That if you put that out now, there might be a lot of backlash. There were rape scenes.
Yep.
There was a lot of murder, a lot of death, and a lot of stuff that nowadays people might have a real problem with. So if your society is going to boycott and attack people for creating art, the incentive is to not make art. It is to reproduce existing things that that take the place of art. But it's not art because you're not taking any risk. You're not doing anything new. You're just putting out safe things. You have to take a risk, or else it's not going to impact people. It's just blah blah. And I think. I think the reason that that there's so many things that come out that are like mediocre and at best is because everyone's afraid of being canceled because they put the wrong thing in
that's
show.
Art by committee.
It
doesn't lead to anything that's truly groundbreaking. Do you think that there's now and I do think this culturally falls on both sides, right? Now, when both sides create, they're doing it with the greater desire to impact the culture. So I think the left has always created art with the desire to impact the culture. They just did it more effectively back in the 90s and before that. So I think movies that integrated like different storylines that would have been considered progressive at the time were better done back then, but it was still done a lot of times with that intent. I remember I was watching I love the show Elementary. It came out in like 2012. It's where they made Lucy Liu Watson, which by the way, a perfect example of where that can be done right and it's not annoying. It's actually done really, really well. The guy who created that show said he did it and he refused to make them, despite the fact that the actors have great chemistry. He wanted to do it so that he could show that men and women could work together while just being friends. That's still trying to change culture or through your art, however corporate the art may be.
Yeah.
There's always that intent in all of it. But now when the left creates art and does it with the intent of changing the culture, they do so gleefully. I feel, now this is just my opinion, a lot of times when we see it now on the right, when they want to create art, it's in a defensive posture where they're doing it because they need to affect the culture now.
I was just going to say, and the opposite is that the art that we're seeing, like when you talk about like woke stuff being included in movies, it's never actually to uplift someone that's being oppressed. It's I'm noble and you are the problem.
Let me point out how bad you are. It's always condescending. It's never, ever like, hey, look, we need to do this to help these people. It's always like, let me tell you why you're bad. It's always condescending. Never good.
Chat, I'm going to bring up Tarantino because you know I always love doing that. But Tarantino and Samuel L. Jackson is the perfect example of Samuel L. Jackson has been the star of Tarantino's movies for how long, especially in a time period where, black actors were not given the opportunities that they felt they should be getting. And meanwhile, Tarantino does not make a stink about it. He does not be like, look how noble I am. He just casts him because he knew he was a good actor in prominent movies and prominent roles. And it's like that is how you actually affect change. That's how you actually be a good person and create good art. And the movies speak for themselves. There's
a $20 one right there.
Because reasons. The right clearly underestimated pop culture. Look who took control of it. And now they have to fight like hell regarding your poll. I want to say something about that. They did underestimate pop culture, but the infiltration of the media was intentional. So there are a bunch of people on the left that are like, look, we need to go into the culture producing areas in the United States and in the West, and we need to infiltrate and we need to make culture that promotes our ideas.
Which is why every magazine article is written the way it is when it's on these sites like a Kotaku or a Movie Web or something 100%, like that.
100%. It's infiltrated media, news, and culture, all the culture creation establishments or whatever you want to call it, So.
All right. And I do want to talk about this one, guys. This is actually a separate topic almost. Video games. Do they cause violence?
No.
Thoughts?
They cause broken controllers.
Yeah.
So, so do sports betting now. We saw that after the last Super Bowl.
What happened?
Countless videos on social media of people who probably bet more money than they should have and smashed their TVs because the Eagles lost.
There's the one of the guy who he's literally he's standing right in front of me, just takes it off the wall and
and so You know, this is a trope that's,
They didn't lose enough money, so they gotta smash a TV too.
If video games don't cause people to be violent, then can they really claim that that they're going to make kids gay by making characters gay in movies and television?
Is anyone claiming that?
Yes, I do believe there are people that say that there's a gay agenda.
So that's not, no. So you're saying two different things there. There's one thing if there's a gay agenda. There's another thing if gay characters in media actually have an influence on children.
Okay.
So
you don't believe that? Like, do you believe that people are that there are people that actually believe that if they show gay characters that it's going to make their kids gay?
I'm sure there's people that believe that, but I don't think that's the main issue with like the LGBTQ kind of propaganda, if you will.
What's the main issue then?
That it's just in everything, every asset and every aspect of life,
and out of proportion to how many people there are.
Dude, if it wasn't LGBTQ, we could talk about grilled cheese sandwiches. What if tomorrow every song you listen to had the lyric grilled cheese sandwiches, and every movie and show you watched and every advertisement showed a hot Victoria's Secret model with a grilled cheese sandwich? You'd be like, dude, what is up with these sandwiches? Everywhere in my face all the time.
It's really funny. Like I have like normie friends who are just starting to notice, like on movies and television. I'm like, oh, this has been going on for like 8-10 years now, buddy. Like,
forever.
It's been going on forever.
No, I think the answer is no to your question, though. Video games do not make people violent. It just it just doesn't make sense. Where's the violence then? If they do, we're not seeing it anywhere, because how many million of concurrent players does Call of Duty have?
It's always easy to like,
and that's one game,
to break it down to like one example of something bad that happens, not remembering how many hundreds of millions of people play games.
If video games made people violent, if the video games themselves just made normal, not not mentally ill, not maladjusted people. If it took a normally adjusted person that had a normal family life and made them violent, then you would see, you would see significantly more violence. Yeah, because everybody plays video games. Yeah, everybody.
Yeah,
got a $20 super chat here. Ace Mendangle, is that right?
Looks right.
Okay. Speaking of not understanding culture, what are your thoughts on the show Shameless?
Never watched Shameless.
Shameless was good.
I had a roommate.
I have a take.
I had a roommate who loved Shameless, and it was always It was always very loud from the next room when I was trying to work, and it just turned me off the show.
Yeah, it's a loud show.
What's your take? You got a take on it?
There's another super chat that I'm going to read right now, and then we'll jump back. Braymont for $20. If video games cause violence, I'm a sleepwalking Zodiac killer. Yeah. Disavow. As for what was it we were talking about, the Shameless. So one of the things we talk about, things that are shoehorned into culture. Shameless had an episode where there was bad people. I think they were Donald Trump voters or whatever, and they were suppressing vote or whatever, and Antifa was out beating up the bad Donald Trump supporters. That means you're taking literal terrorists. Yeah. Because that's what Antifa is. They use violence to affect a political result. That is terrorism.
I didn't know they were just Shameless has what, like 12 seasons now?
I'm not sure, but
this must be one of the recent ones, because they were never really topical.
I'm not sure how recent, but it was maybe 2 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
2-3 years.
I stopped watching maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. But I couldn't believe it. They're talking about Antifa, and again they characterized Antifa as the good guys. They were like, "Yo, we got to go help Antifa," blah blah blah. And it's like, these are the people that were literally the Antifa are the ones that were rioting during the summer 2020. Like, the people during the day were the protesters. They were there protesting. They were peaceful, and then Antifa would show up at night, because they were all drug addict scumbags, and they were the ones that picked fights with the cops when the actual activist protesters that were decent people left. Yep. That was the way that it went all the time. The daytime was normal protests, and then at night, the Antifa people showed up, and they were the ones that were going there specifically to fight cops.
Because bad people have learned that they can attach themselves to good causes.
100%.
Well, I was just going to say, with the video games thing, and even like shows like this, you're more often like, if there's someone that does something reprehensible and they leave a note or leave a manifesto, if you will, right? More often than not, you're going to see like these leftist talking points that they just parrot in their own words. You don't see them
not even
citing video games.
Words.
You don't see them citing. They might cite Antifa, but they're not citing Shameless, the TV show. You know, so it's more off. I would say the news has a way bigger impact than arts and creative media,
especially because the news twists the actual stories to come up with a certain perspective,
and they present it to you like this is the reality. This is your reality. And it's like I'll walk outside my front door and look around like I'm John Travolta and I'm just shrugging. I'm like I don't know what the fuss is all about. You know,
totally.
And that's why I think a lot of times people say go touch grass and it comes off the wrong way, but it's like literally go outside and just walk around, take a deep breath, you're gonna be okay.
Saying "go touch grass" basically comes off as "go f yourself" now.
Yeah.
It's phrased in a way that's.
But it's rooted in something actually healthy and good.
But it's probably a good idea to, if you're gonna tell someone to go touch grass, it's probably a good idea to say something like, "Hey, maybe you should unplug for a bit."
Right. Yes,
as opposed to go touch grass, dude. You know, like you're just gonna bump people up.
Well, so this is gonna be a controversial question, maybe. Whoa,
Crisis Party. See, Tom Cruise could have touched some grass there. He might not have yelled at anyone. Same with Christian Bale. If he had just touched a little grass.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Let's not take a fucking minute. Let's go again.
Brett, this is a question for you. Obviously, this is a show, right? But do you think people like you and other influencers in the space, whether it's pop culture or politics, do you think they should be doing more to preach a unplug, get offline?
I do that all the time.
You know how every year, there's a day, it's called Earth Day, and we're supposed to, think about the environment, do what we can, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
At worst, it's annoying seeing all the tweets and messages. At best, you're going to get less litter on the ground, like people are actually going to do good things. Should people and creators like yourself and maybe others in this sphere, this realm that we're in, should they be doing more to preach that message?
No, I don't think anybody in these spheres owes anyone anything or any type of explanation or anything. I do, however, like to post. I quite often post, like when I go out and skate, I'll post on Instagram, like, look, I was stuck doom scrolling, I was lost, and I was in a really bad place earlier. I'm now getting physical activity, and I'll literally talk to my phone while skating, like doing trick skating, and that's a way of me to share with people. I'm like, you don't have to go skating, go run, go walk, go do something physical, because it's amazing how good it is for you to just get out of your house, get away from your computer, get away from your phone, whatever you can do outside. Just fresh air is really, really good for you. But I don't think anybody owes anyone that.
No, I don't think anyone owes anything. But I'm just saying. People look up to you. People will look at your posts.
That's a horrible idea.
People will see your posts and they're going to get inspired whether you like it or not. I mean, that's the position that you're in. So, I'm glad that you're doing stuff like that, but I think you're in the minority with that. And I think more people should be preaching that message because it's just being healthy. That's at the end of the day.
Yeah, go be healthy like Eric DeJuly says, be athletic.
Yep.
That's what he says, be athletic. Doll click in the chat says, go prune your roses. Go pull your weeds. That's good. Oh, there's a one right there from
nice.
Chicken Bacon Skinwalker Ranch. Trans exclusionary radical feminists. Trans inclusionary radical feminists. They're both TERFs. Yeah, fair enough. But when you say TERF, people are going to know what you're talking about. If you say TERF the other way, they're going to be like, no.
Man, but dude, they're not necessarily TERFs because people who are gays against groomers would be considered TERFs. They're not radical.
No,
they make bumper stickers.
Well, no, but it depends on what you mean, because radical feminism is a thing. So the radical part is a part of the feminism. So it's a way to designate the type of feminism. There's first wave, second wave, third wave, and radical feminism is one of the ways to talk about the more extreme feminists. A lot of radical feminists are like, we don't want anything to do with men, right? So there are feminists that are like, oh, I'm a feminist. Your normal feminist that's like, oh, I'm not a lesbian. I'm okay with men. A lot of rad femmes hate men, right? They're just like, I hate guys. Men are terrible. Men are the problem. Blah blah blah. And they're that's a terrible opinion, but they can have that opinion.
Right.
One of my favorite memes of all time is this guy who goes, you don't like trans women because you're transphobic. I don't like trans women because they're women. We are not the same.
Yeah.
Trans inclusionary radical misogyny.
Yeah, I saw that.
All right. So yeah, to me, like the video game, it's just really funny that the video game discussion keeps coming back up. It just never goes away. Every few years, they point out that, remember when they were talking about how Joker was going to inspire violence too? How it was going to be an incel uprising because of the Joker movie?
Yeah,
and the media was like, we want it. We want the massacre because the media wants the ratings, right? Because the media is evil.
And and they were assuming that it was the right people that would be doing it. It would be the incels, the males that hate women, and they can call them the basket of deplorable people, blah blah blah.
And then there was actual cops at the movie premieres. Like at the theaters, there was cops there over a completely manufactured. Like there was no basis behind it.
I think the connection they made, which in my opinion was loose and bad, but the connection was the guy that did the shooting in Aurora.
In 2012.
Yeah, in 2012.
Like a decade, like not quite a decade, but nearly a decade earlier from The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but the media wanted it. They wanted it so badly.
They always want. They want that
if it bleeds,
because it's the ratings, because it's content for them, and the more dramatic, the better. I mean, look, nobody really wants an actual nuclear exchange between the United States and Russia.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot of people in the media that wouldn't be mad if Russia threw a couple nuclear artillery shells into Ukraine.
I think people have their heads so far up their own butts.
Yep.
That they're not thinking. They're just thinking about, oh my God, imagine the clicks we're gonna get if a bomb goes off. And it's like, dude,
and I'm not gonna lie, it's very easy to understand how a ghoulish person gets there.
Yeah.
Because like even here doing this job, like when there's good news, and you're excited to talk about it. It's not a far walk from, oh, I hope something interesting happens to a celebrity today, to a horrible person who's just like, look, like misery is my business.
I mean, look, they're that site Media Matters. They have people that just do Tucker Carlson, and when Tucker Carlson got fired, these people were like. They were like, oh, this is good. And it's like, that guy is like half of your content. Why do you think it's good? Right? Yeah. But they were pumped about it. And it's like, well, maybe it's not that great.
Cheering their own destruction.
And
exactly.
At the end of the day, it's a guy who, I mean, Tucker's going to be fine. But when someone gets fired, like, who's just expressing opinions, like it's not for cause, someone's livelihood just got shaken up pretty badly. That's like with the when COVID in 2020, people are losing their jobs. And people were cheering for that. They're like, good. And I'm like, dude, do you know what you're cheering for?
No. Horrible things. Horrible.
All right. We got some super chats there.
Okay, where are we at? We just got...
I think we're up above
Unusable Alpaca was the last one we did with the Vanilla Ice was sued over the beat.
The Disco Jensen is next. Yes, I believe.
Okay. Disco Jensen says, boys. That is all.
Yes, that is all.
Last of My Kind says, yes, bring back commentary.
Yes, bring back audio commentary in movies and DVDs. It made it worth, like, every time. There was never a time when watching an episode that had audio commentary where I didn't want it on the next episode as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've already seen the episode. I want to hear what what the second unit director thought of the nails of the lady who's holding the baseball.
I always like the fun facts too. Like when Interstellar, like you learn the director bought that plot. He bought all the corn just for them to do a scene of a truck driving through a cornfield. Like he bought all that corn, grew it, and then sold it for a profit. It's like just knowing little facts like that makes the movie so much more enjoyable.
It's probably made up. They're just like, this sounds great. Like it sounds fantastic.
Because reasons. My sister likes South Korean soaps. What is happening?
What is happening?
I know that's been a thing for a good decade now or so.
I've never seen a South Korean soap opera.
I haven't either, but I know they're popular.
Quite Blackpilled says, I don't know a single millennial who pays for cable. Too expensive, and commercials are unacceptable to me. Plus, streaming is still much cheaper.
Man, I'm starting to enjoy commercials.
That's just wrong.
I have no idea what that sentence means.
That's just...
Those words in that order make no sense.
It's just kind of a break. I can get up and use the bathroom. It's just
dude, the pause button right there.
It's just different, man.
Not different.
It is different.
Like, because it times you.
Plus, I sort of, like you get
He's just buying all of them.
Listen. There's a reason that I know about the new Gala sheets that My Pillow's releasing, and you guys don't.
Fair enough.
Or Gila, whatever he called them.
because reasons says the right is only beginning to understand what pop culture is. I had no idea for most of my life.
There you go.
Well, you know.
And it's I think that they'll be better for it. I do think that there's like, look, when I think of it, I think of it this way. I think that people who fall into the leftist perspective, or even if you want to say the liberal perspective, they're more inclined to art naturally, and maybe that the natural pull toward it makes it different. And now maybe as more people who are right-leaning understand the importance of it and may introduce it to their kids earlier on, per se,
hopefully,
things like that, and in that way it will become more natural in those households, and they can understand that a variety of perspectives is okay, even if pop culture isn't necessarily your thing.
Let's see. We had because reasons. DD Mega Doo 9 something.
9-7.
9-7. I can't see the last number.
We love DD Mega Doo 9-7 here.
We do. To solve the pop culture problem, we need more Freedom Tunes. When is Shim the Potato Him going to be back on the show?
Yeah, has he ever been on pop culture?
Okay. Seamus was on here the day Roe v. Wade got overturned. And it was very, like, it became a thing very quickly. We'll have to have Seamus on. It was like, I was like, and with us today is Seamus. He's like, holy
Maybe
crap.
he could like draw a caricature of you during the show, and then he'll show everybody at the end of the show.
Yeah. He didn't say "holy crap." I don't think he would say that. He said, he's like, it's like, I'm Seamus Coughlin, and yes, yeah, like I got to go back and maybe rewatch that.
What episode was that? Like 180 or something?
That's a number I have no idea.
It's like a year ago, right?
Yeah, it would have been about a year ago. Let's do one more, and then we'll just finish up real quick.
Okay, James Orenthal Nguyen.
I think it's pronounced Wen.
When?
I think it's pronounced Wen.
Wow. I have no idea. My bad. That is my ignorance. Ving Rhames is greater than medieval would be in school books now.
Is he older? Is that what we're saying? I love Ving Rhames. It's so funny. Somebody pointed out something really great. He's like, you want to know the power of how awesome the Mission Impossible movies are? I've seen them all multiple times. I just call him Ving Rhames. I don't even know his character's name. I've seen all the movies that many times, and if it's not Ethan Hunt, it's
always Ving Rhames is always Ving Rhames. Like, yes. I never care what.
It's kind of like what Terry Crews is the same to me. Terry Crews is always Terry Crews. Yeah.
You don't remember his characters or The Rock.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's because he's just basically he plays himself. Well, that's what I liked about his when he started acting. He did more roles outside of I love him in the Fast and the Furious movies because he's actually playing kind of a badass dude, and now he plays kind of a safe, big, he's very safe now. I loved him in the G.I. Joe movie too.
He's a big family man now.
Yeah. All right, we got one more thing. Let's talk about Timbaland, and let's talk about Biggie Smalls. It's not a non sequitur. It's an actual thing that goes together. That Timbaland did this interview where he talks about how he's bringing Biggie back to life through AI.
Stop it.
He doesn't actually call it bringing him back to life, but yeah, like he does this interview, and let's play this clip really quick. And I figured you'd have a take.
I mean, yeah, let's hear it.
Go ahead, because I have no words.
Okay, let's listen to the clip here. So this is I have the interview. Yeah, okay. So here it is. Here's him talking about it first.
All right, so I'm sitting here with my brother, Creative God, and we know that. There's a lot of talk about AI. We know how the feelings of violating certain things, but let me tell you something. I got a solution. I'm working on it. It's going to be beneficial to everybody. But in the meantime, I got to share something I've been working on because I always wanted to do this, and I never got a chance to. I always wanted to work with Big, and I never got a chance to. Until today, it came out right. Play. Not a pimp, but I keep the trick up my sleeve. Roll my cigarette, fuck around and get your big seeds. Gotta have my palm, she won't be my main squeeze. Look up, cheese, it ain't on me, it's in me. Keep all my gold so glowing when I'm grinning.
I mean, it sounds like it.
Yep.
I'm not familiar enough with Biggie's raps to say if this sounds like.
I don't think so.
It'll sound like his voice, but it's not performed, right? Like,
there's no soul in it.
When I'm in the booth tracking, right? There's three things that a producer says to me, and I tell them the only thing I need from you is three things: timing, pitch, and I don't buy it. And I don't buy it means I have to perform it for them.
Yeah.
I have to sing like they have to believe that what I'm saying, I mean it.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of acting that goes on in there.
Right.
And I assume in the future, AI may be able to do that.
Yeah.
But that is always going to be what AI guessed they would do, not what the performer would have chosen
Right.
to do.
To me, you've played a few of these AI songs over the last couple weeks, and to me, every time I hear it, I'm like, that sounds like someone's doing like. It's like I hear someone down the road. I'm like, oh, that guy kind of sounds like so and so.
Yeah.
But it doesn't ever actually. I'm like, yo, that's Biggie Smalls down there.
Yeah.
I like it's not. They haven't reached the uncanny valley yet. There's just too much. Like you said, we don't buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, the issue I had with it was more like, there's a level of like selfishness in, I never got a chance to work with him, therefore I'm going to make this. Like you're making a choice for someone that can't make that choice.
Yeah.
And I kind of take issue with that.
Yeah.
Like that was where that's the issue I take with it.
I mean, I guess I understand, but it's not like he's actually ripping off lyrics or like just ripping a sample, you know.
Yeah.
Like that's my whole thing is this
There was also
different.
Do you remember when they did the Biggie concert in the metaverse?
Is yes. Well, or when they do like the holograms of like they've done it of Prince. I think they've done it of Biggie. That to me is way more offensive than plugging their voice into the AI and getting them to spit out something. I don't know why, but that like I don't know. It just seems more inappropriate than doing what Timbaland's doing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. For me, this is one of those things where I see it. He also mentions, like in the song, he mentions Nipsey Hussle and Pop Smoke, which is a weird like invocation to like bring up people that weren't around when Biggie was alive.
Right.
So that's uncomfortable and weird in a way.
Why did he bring those guys up? Because they're also dead.
Yeah. It says also weirdly screwing with time by name dropping Nipsey Hussle and Pop Smoke. Both slain rappers came onto the scene decades after Biggie died. Obviously, he would have never been able to. So that's a weird type of. I know a lot of people, and it's funny because they like every time they would release a new Tupac album every 5 years with like basically reworked tracks and stuff like that. Yeah. And then a lot of times they'll just put tracks from rappers over other songs and stuff like that. Right. And that somehow feels less weird to me than this.
This might be, and this is just an idea that just popped in my head. I wonder if this kind of thing is going to be something that happens more in rap than other genres. Yeah. Because I don't know, but I feel like it makes more sense to have people rapping than singing.
Right. Yeah.
And again, I could be wrong, but I feel like this is something that rappers would want to do more so than other artists.
Well, even if they're not rappers, if you want to all of a sudden add like some kind of rap verse into your song, you're like a rock artist or something. Now, what this also like, with all this AI voice stuff coming out, I'm realizing that it's mostly men generating men's voices. And so in movies, a lot of the time you'll see like the AI overlords were always a woman's voice, but I don't think that's going to be the reality.
No,
when the AI takes over, I think it's going to be a man's voice. It's going to
patriarchy wins again.
Yeah.
I actually think one of the things that I think prepared us for this more than anything, I saw a couple of people say like they think that all the implementation of the of like the TikTok like voice or like the voice of Siri, the voice on Android are all kind of like getting you used to your robot overlords. But also like think about for how long I listened to a really bad version where they made Britney Spears sing a Christina Aguilera song, and you realize that we've been listening to heavily processed voices for so long that you won't even be able to tell the difference.
People won't know.
Yeah.
Like everybody's voice that you hear has been processed and edited. Most of the time when you hear a singer singing, you're not hearing one take, you're hearing multiple takes chopped up and put together. They call it comping. I would say 99% of artists that are vocalists that sing go through some type of tuning.
Yeah.
Even if they're the best, like they just send them through the box just to be 100% sure, because everybody's used to hearing perfection.
Yeah.
Nowadays, when people hear music that is not to the grid and has fluctuations throughout the song, the tempo changes that are unintentional, just human, it sounds bad to their ears because they've been so used to hearing perfected music for so long. When we were doing, it was when we were doing For We Are Many, there was editing and our drum editor made a joke to our producer and was like, yeah, I got him about, I edited him and I got about 95% of the way there because I wanted him to have a little bit of humanity. And our producer goes, what? No, I want robots. They need to sound like robots.
No humanity.
I agree because that's what metal records sound like. Yeah. And if we put out a record that sounds like, like it's live, like it's not on the grid, people are going to say that record sounds like crap. And they won't know why. They're not going to say, oh, they didn't do this or they didn't do that or blah, blah, blah. They're not going to be able to articulate why it sounds bad. Right. They're just going to hear it and they're going to say, that doesn't sound as good as the other things that I normally listen to.
And I was going to say, and that's why, we talked about Ed Sheeran at the very beginning of the show. And it's like, it's very hard. Like, I don't know the exact terminology for everything, but all music basically is built on the same, was it 4/4? For the timing structure?
Most of your modern music is in 4/4, yeah.
Right. So
it's 1, 2, 3.
How
4,
much
1,
can you really do at this point when music's been around for hundreds of years and for how many decades it's been in 4/4? It's like it's all going to start sounding similar, you know, at one point or another. And that's why a lot of people, like some bands and some music, will be in other. What do you call that? Being in, like, I don't know the music terminology, but not the timing.
Time signature.
Time signature. Mm-hmm. So other bands and musicians will experiment with other time signatures, and it just doesn't usually do well.
One of the things that you find a lot is people they won't experiment with time signatures. They'll experiment with syncopation and stuff like that. So they're actually in 4/4. So like Meshuggah, this band that's a very, very famous, popular progressive-ish metal band. Their stuff sounds very complex, and there's a lot of syncopation, a lot of stuff that they do like that. And it makes it feel like it's not quite in 4/4. Mm-hmm. But the giveaway is your hi-hat, and if you can follow the hi-hat, you know it's in 4/4. So if it's da da, no matter what the rest of the stuff's doing, if it's 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3, that's what's telling. That the hi-hat is what gives it away.
Well, even like like dubstep music, people complain. They're like, it's all over the place. I can't even keep the beat. I'm like, well, if you actually really pay attention, it's a very simple beat with just little flourishes added here and there, but it's pretty on time, just like you said. You follow the hi-hat, follow the bass, follow the 808, and it's the same time signature.
It's funny, like we are kind of being programmed because of how much of the media, like people don't really realize that when you're watching these things on social media, a lot of reels, things like this. Oh, go ahead and there's a $20
one. Chicken Bacon Skinwalker says, my point was ruin the meaning of the slur turf by using it against your ideological opponents. Just a thought.
There you go.
I think that the TERFs have embraced the term turf, and they love it because they are actively exclusionary, and they're like, yes, we're TERFs. They embrace it and want to be called trans exclusionary. They're like, get the hell out of here, son.
We're like, so much of our media now is produced, like, you don't realize when you're watching a lot of these things on social media, just because you're watching it on a social media platform doesn't mean that didn't take time to edit and produce to look a certain way, right? Mm-hmm. So you are trained to watch things that are perfect, right?
Yep.
And you, like you said, they won't know why it's not right, and they wouldn't be able to take it if they weren't. It's the same thing that a lot of people have said, that this new generation of men are being ruined by porn because they can't actually experience sex with a woman because they've been literally brainwashed by the stuff that they're watching to think that it's going to be a certain way, and then when it's not, nothing lives up to it, and it just proves to you how dangerous all of these mediums can be in a lot of ways.
That is pretty sad.
I mean, it all boils down to all entertainment boils down to something to stimulate your dopamine gland.
Yeah. One of the great memes that I saw recently was she does these like nostalgia bait things. And it's her like clicking on all the old MySpace links. It says new comments, new blog comments, new friend request. And I was like, oh, that was when we all got addicted to dopamine hits and serotonin. That was when it started to happen. When
top 8 was the first one.
Yeah. Well, like think about it. Like when somebody in your real life says, would you like to be friends? That's not a real thing. That's not how the real world works. But when you get a little graph that says so, a little logo that says so, it becomes a different thing entirely. All right. We got some super chats there. Actually, before we go, I am going to end the poll. We'll do that in the super chat. So go ahead. We got a couple there.
Where were we last? Vin Rames was the last one. So because reasons, the right clearly underestimates pop culture. Look who took control of it, and now they have to fight. Oh, that one I've already read.
That one. Yep.
Ace Mendangle. Speaking of not understanding culture, what are your thoughts on Shameless Brett? We already did that one too.
Yep. We love you, Tom Cruise.
It's number 4.
This is number 4.
Oh.
We love you, Tom Cruise, and we love you, Christian Bale.
Indeed.
I've got a Tom Cruise, a Saint Tom Cruise up there on the wall.
Let's see. We got Shane H. Wilder, I think, is the next one because we did the video games one.
Yes.
Sleepwalking Zodiac Killer from Braemont.
Yes.
In the 50s, this is from Shane H. Wilder. In the 50s, teenage guys would go watch westerns and then would get in their unlocked trucks with gun racks. Somehow they didn't try to kill people.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
We had better parenting back then,
We did. Carnal says, the media warned us about an incel uprising after the Joker, but instead we got a machete fight outside of a Frozen 2 skirt.
I forgot about that. Holy crap.
Or Popeyes.
Yes. Carnell, I completely forgot that happened.
It happened.
That was amazing. And then some other people were saying like bad things were going to happen at the Minions premiere because everyone was coming dressing like Minions. And then there's one more at the end there from Guamtech.
Mad love to Fave Blader Boy. Blader Boy. Screamer Lad. And one great mustache. Special shout out to Brett's perfect oop fish.
Alley-oop fish.
Alley-oop fish. Keep up the great work, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's really funny. There's a skate company back in the day called Mind Game that made a shirt that said Blader. And everyone thought it said bladder, so nobody would wear it.
I think you should just.
There's 2 D's in bladder, so.
Is there though?
Is there really? That was like I had that shirt, and it's like I was so deep in the culture at that time, it didn't affect me. But like somebody pointed that out one day, and I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see that. Like now, I'm wondering like what the people I'm walking by in Target are thinking. Like, why is he wearing a
Bladder
shirt?
Boy is like the worst sidekick name ever.
Maybe the best
God, can you imagine?
Like he's always going to save the day, but he's just got to go to the bathroom all the time. It's a damn shame.
Colon Man and Bladder Boy.
Well, then we can write our own comic book.
There you go.
We can write our own comic book. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Before we go, could you guys hit the like button on this video? Could you subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Thank you very much. Share this video with your friends as well so we can grow this channel. We have passed 59,000 subscribers. Woo! We're working our way to 60,000. Thank you so much. Kellen, where can they find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at KellenPDL. I'm becoming less and less active on social media and stuff, but I'm still on there, so follow me there. Thank you guys. I hope to be on next week or whatever you need me, man. Just let me know and I'll be back and see you guys later.
All right.
I am Phil That Remains on Twitter. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains on Spotify, Apple Music, blah, 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 blah.
Perfect. It's like the last time I was on IRL and I didn't get the order and I was all out of sorts because you're like
Yes.
like nod. I'm like, oh, is it my turn? Guys, if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. The show is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you'd like to follow the show on social media, we are on Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at popculturecrisis, and on Instagram at popculturecrisispod. If you'd like to listen to this podcast, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.
Bladder Boy away.